Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Putty, and welcome back to the irregular, inunderstandable, amazing, amazeballs, infrequent podcast on a Sunday afternoon every now and then. I'm here with my junior co-host, Marshall Wild Cherry Drive Peterson.
You know, there was a time where I took that junior co-host thing as an insult, but I find myself as I get older and older, I like to feel a little younger, you know? Calling me junior, putting a baseball cap on me, and telling me to go down to the gumball shop and buy as much penny gum as I can.
Yeah, I
Other
know
references.
I
Anyway.
When we gave it to you, it was originally meant as a not as a young thing, but more as a you need to
More
grow
as a
into
new
this.
to it, newbie.
We in all honesty, it was mainly to prevent Tanner from getting annoyed. We were like, oh no,
That makes sense.
Marshall isn't our co-host. Marshall's our junior co-host.
Because I feel like at this point, I feel like that fear is gone, but there was there because he is gone, but I feel like there was a fear that you guys were going to push him away forever.
Yeah.
like, no, he's just here. Like, you can come back whenever, Tanner.
I know Dino's gone.
Dino is dead. Have you spoken to him in a while?
I think he's just a little embarrassed.
Embarrassed about has he
coming.
seen the YouTube parts with him? No.
I can't believe he let us down like that, man. You know
Wait, who?
Dino.
How did he let us down?
Because he didn't show up to the election.
Oh. You think he's embarrassed about that? Yeah, I've been there. I've been there. If I don't show up to something, showing up to it again is like rough, you know?
Yeah, I know exactly
like,
what you mean.
You're really late for something, and then the next day you're on time, but you're thinking, maybe I just like don't want to get out of bed today.
Oh, have you ever been like late for something and then like I'm so late that it's better just to not show up?
Yeah, like it's better just to not show up and say that like you had to stay in surgery or something.
Because if you're late, like it's harder to come up with an excuse why you're late than it is for why you weren't there at all.
Because you have time to come up with, like, you have a whole day
also,
to
like,
craft
if you're like
a perfect excuse.
15 minutes late, it's like, well, that's not like it's hard to cover for that. What, I had car trouble? What, you're like 15?
I don't know. I found something funny is I found when I got to like obviously like in grade school or primary school for the more European inclined audience.
Now,
No,
are you sure you've got that conversion right?
What?
Now, are you sure you've got that conversion right?
Grade in primary school, yeah, and then high school and secondary school. Those are the conversions.
Okay.
Anyway, and then, yeah. Anyway, and that's all I got. But in
College
in
and
grades,
university.
in grade school and primary school, I remember I would always, I always thought it was better to come up with like a really, really good excuse, like, oh, I had to like help my mother do something or like made myself like sound good. But I found when I got to high school / secondary school, I found it a lot. Most of the teachers a lot more receptive to me just saying, kind of forgot, and they're just like, oh, okay, I'll give you another day to do it. It's because most of the high school teachers are more chill. Like grade school teachers scared the shit out of me. I think it's because a lot of them were like mean women, like just mean. But I feel like when I got to high school, a lot of them were more like guys, and I feel like they understood me, or at least I had the illusion that they did, and I was more comfortable to just go like, hey, I'm not here. It is what it is. You can accept it or you can't. And he's like, okay, I can accept that.
Yeah.
So that's that.
I know what you mean. Like, yeah, I do. Like for a while now, like slowly throughout my school life, I've been like, you know what? I'm just gonna be honest with people. It's the best policy most of the time. Like, if I'm gonna walk out because I'm pissed, I'm gonna turn around to you say, I'm gonna walk out because I'm pissed. And then they just said, all right, cool, it's great.
What? And I think a huge thing. I know we've kind of gotten the topic of like growing up and stuff, but I think one big thing like that I noticed in myself, like growing up wise, getting more mature, is that how I handle someone scorning me or making me really angry at them. I feel like when I was younger, if someone made me really angry and I like cut them out of my life, and then like 6 months later, I'd be like, why was I angry at them? But then I would feel too awkward to ever say anything to them ever again. So to them, it's like I'm still angry at them 10 years later. But, for me, it was too awkward for me to say anything. And now, like just the other day, someone who I was really angry at, I was just like, why am I angry at this person? I just said to him, hey, man, I hope this isn't awkward anymore, but I'd love for us just to hang out sometime because I was being a dick. You were being a dick. We were both dicks. Let's get over it. And he's like, yeah, I feel the same way. So, I think the point I want to say here, guys, is just we're all dicks, and you need to remember that, and it's okay to just make up with each other.
That's in my Skype description. I think it still is, right?
We're all dicks?
No, I'm a dick. Let's check. Somewhere here.
It probably is.
Where is it?
Let me see.
Show full profile.
Let me click on your name.
Is it not anymore?
I don't like going down this hole. It probably says something like streaming honest
not.
Hearts.
It's not anymore. I had in my Skype profile, I'm a dick. I am also a Liverpool fan. I choose to believe the two are not related.
That's it, yeah.
Now
what is it?
It's nothing now. I think it might have been the update.
It is nothing. That is super weird. I just remember at one point you had I forget what it was, but something somewhere said streaming honest hearts, and it was months after.
Channel.
That's it. Your Twitch channel still says streaming honest hearts.
Yeah, next week or something. It's
yeah.
I know.
And people
I
are
finished Lonesome Road.
I'll be there.
I finished Lonesome Road now.
Yeah, you honestly
it's been a year. I mean, it's February. I
just create. You should just create a quick picture that says I'm offline.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah, I mean, the
it would
idea
take 10
was
seconds.
I would advertise my next stream at all times, but I only did it once, and so it's kind of just stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, well, I will be streaming again soon. I'm sure. Maybe, possibly. Maybe has 2 episodes. Oh, which reminds me, I don't know if we should be doing this on camera, on streams, on podcast, but I came up with an idea for, I guess we can do this on channel. Let me know if, Marshall, you stop me if this gets too boring.
Well, I mean, if we can edit it out later if you want.
I guess we could, yeah. But anyway, I think this is decent to tell people.
Go ahead. It's a podcast. These people know what kind of conversations they're going to be hearing.
So,
anyway.
Go on the shared Google Drive.
Okay.
Oh, wait, damn it. Yeah, go on there, but I don't know where I put it. But anyway, I have a concept before, the New Vegas series has 2 episodes.
Should you record your screen and show them this? No? Okay. No, just kidding. So what were you saying?
God damn it. The New Vegas series has 2 episodes left, right? Okay, here it is. It's called Untitled Document. I'll move it into the... Look, I know, okay?
It's easy to find that, then.
I'll move it into the shared Google Drive, random shared folder with Marshall. It's called Untitled Document. So there's 2 episodes before the New Vegas series finishes, one of which is for Ong Lang Sang, and the other one is the finale. And I know I'm going to put a lot of work into the finale, but I was thinking about putting a lot of work into 2 or 3 episodes prior to the finale. You know, the special episodes we've done.
Yeah.
Doing movie style of them for a little bit of backstory to Dictron and Puddy.
Backstory.
Yeah.
To them as a couple, or just to each of them?
As characters, and also a little bit of joint history there. How the time split began, where Dictron came from, where Puddy came from, how Puddy is the messed up, broken one, how Dictron's world got screwed up, shit like that.
I mean, Dictron is screwed up, but he doesn't kill people.
He's fine. Yeah, he does kill people.
He's sexually yeah. I mean, who doesn't kill people in the wasteland? But,
okay, so have you found the
I'm reading it. Okay. I'm looking at it.
Okay.
Do you want me to read it in the stream?
Sure, read it.
Okay, Fallout New Vegas, episode 161, The Why of Things. Fade in, desert road, a man walking with leather armor on the Pip-Boy. Light shines brightly.
By the way, Mac is meant to have an Australian accent. Just want to put that out.
Oh, God.
I'll be doing it. It's fine.
Okay. That you literally just mentioned one of my accent Achilles heels.
Australian's pretty close to English, so I should be okay.
Every time I try to do an Australian accent, it just develops into some
Cockney.
sort of 3-year-old Oliver, from Oliver Twist. Okay. Anyway, music. Text reads Arizona, 2280. Music, Sweet Home Alabama, sung by Dictron. Sweet Home Alabama.
Exactly.
Where the skies are so blue. Okay, Dictron enters a random building. Okay, would you like to?
Nah, well, I won't read it in the accent, but well, looky
Okay.
here. If it isn't the small fish in the large pond, you back for some more work, small fry?
That was the plan, Mac. You got anything for me?
Got this old machinery we found out in the Mojave. Salvage mostly, but someone wants it.
Courier job then.
It's what you're good for, ain't it?
Yeah, I guess so. I'm kind of sick. I'm kind of sick of it. Okay, yeah, I guess that makes sense. I'm kind of sick of it, man. All the traveling gets to me. I wouldn't mind settling down in some shack somewhere.
Well, right now you're working for me, so why don't you get those silly thoughts out of your head, eh?
Such a goal in life to settle down in a shack somewhere. those You get those dreams out of your life, man. You're never gonna find an empty shack, and you're never gonna sit down in it. No, that's funny though. I like that. Anyway, sure, Mac. Where are we? Where are my heading?
Okay, I'll fix that. Where am I heading?
Where's my heading, Captain?
Where am I heading? Where are
Is it starboard? Grab the main toe.
You've walked that road before. That town. What was it called? The Divide? Something like that.
I know the way.
Alright then, here's 25 caps. You'll get the rest when you get there. Your contact is a gent by the name of Puddcast,
As the guy who wants the parts,
as I understand it.
I'll get a move on.
That kid, always talking about settling down. To tell the truth, I just want to be able to keep an eye on him.
So is Mac like my uncle or something?
Kind of, yeah. Have you seen,
Like sort of an adopted
have
uncle.
you seen Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yeah.
You know the pirate who adopts Star.
So like that guy.
Yeah, kind of like that.
Yeah,
guy.
yeah. So sort of
He
like
works for
a
him.
a crooked sort of
Yeah.
or like the guy who adopts Oliver Twist, teaches him how to pick pockets.
Yep.
Have you ever seen that movie or read the book?
I have, but it's been a while and it's really hazy. But I know what you're on about. You got to pick.
I
a
said
pocket or
something
two.
about Oliver Twist earlier, and I thought it'd be good to make another reference
Yes.
in quick succession. But I
so-
can't think of the guy's name. But yeah,
The
honestly,
concept of this script is that eventually you'll go to the divide. The parts are the thing that sets off the. Okay, spoilers to anyone who hasn't played Lonesome Road. The parts that you're taking here are the things that set off the missiles, right?
Mhm.
So that happens, and then in the missile fire, that's when the time vortex is created.
So you didn't set off the missiles.
No, you did.
So is Putty Gash ever
Putty
like?
Gash isn't Putty Gash. Putty Gash is one of the townsfolk of the divide who dies, and then the created clone of Dicktron sees the name of Putty Gash on a grave and takes it for himself.
Oh. So Putty Gash whole existence is sort of a lie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I
Entirely.
love that.
And then
Honestly,
Putty-
when I heard that, I think this is a good script. I know it's a good script because like when I read that with everything I know, because obviously we've experienced everything in the series. When I read the words Putty Gash on the script, I like had a shiver down my spine. So I think it's a good script because
Yeah.
it's you just get this rush of nostalgia and realize, oh, this is where it connects. So no, I definitely think I don't know if you want to leave this in because this is kind of spoilery.
I know it's really spoilery, but I don't know, like, I don't know.
I mean, maybe you should just like I don't know, say this. I don't know.
Everything. Like, I'll put a little spoiler tag at the bottom or something. But
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, but the basic concept, because I'm going to explain a lot of the concept here, and there's going to be two more, which this is the only one that connects the two. The other two are probably going to be like Putty Gash's backstory, like what he walked between 2080 and 2088, and Dicktron's backstory before 2280.
if you want, if there's any other backstories you think there is a place for, I could also, since there's a while before I have to finish my series, I could also
them in
put
yours?
them in the log and put them on my series if you want to have any
Oh,
other sides
okay.
of the backstory.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, but with this one specifically, which is the only one I have a real plan for, when the missiles, again, spoilers for anyone who, I mean, I think you'd like to watch it anyway, because we're going to put a lot of effort into it if we do it, is the missiles
Yeah.
go off, the time vortex is created, and then for the first couple of hours, we're shifting between worlds, and eventually we meet each other. But in my world, the missiles have been contained to the divide, whereas in your world, the missiles are from the divide all the way north, all a very far way east. The missiles go off huge quantities of the United States, whereas in mine, there was some sort of miracle that stopped the missiles going any further than the divide.
Okay.
And that's
So
one
I
of
basically like blew up the world.
basically, but you're stuck
I
in
can't,
your world.
I blew up the world.
You're stuck in your world, and then the clone you, the parallel universe you, because you weren't caught in the blast, but parallel universe you, Putty Gash, was caught in the blast, and he gets amnesia.
Whoa. This is some heavy shit.
And in your world, the real Putty Gash survives, whereas in the other world, Putty Gash dies. And if Putty Gash doesn't die in that world, then your world is a reality, and the whole United States blows up. You know what I mean?
Whoa.
Yeah, some crazy shit like that.
Mind blowing time shit. This should go on an episode of Doctor Who.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've referenced Doctor Who in this series before.
When did we do that?
In your first one, I'm pretty sure we sang the theme.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was always sort of leaning towards this side of thing. Yeah.
It's always been sci-fi.
Yeah, I remember we had the little. That's right. That's why I had. Okay, I've been wondering why I had this little black and white Vault Boy picture in my pictures library. I remember I had to take a Vault Boy, turn him black and white, so I could have him turn around, just like.
Yeah.
I remember that. That was hilarious. Okay, yeah.
So yeah, in this, for the first couple of hours, the time-space continuum is fluctuating so badly that these two newly created parallel universes are quite linked. So we're switching in between, and that's how we know each other. Because if you remember, at the start of time fluctuations, you recognize who I am.
I do.
Yeah,
I do. And that's, I think, I'm glad you did that, because I've always been thinking, like, okay, at first this started as, like, just, like, a joke, and now it's become, like, a really serious story. But if it's a serious story, how do I know Putty?
Yeah, it's through
So-
this. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, so you end up talking with an NCR soldier who got caught in the blast and who survives. Putty Gash eventually, and I'm just on my own dealing with my injuries until like I don't know if it's going to be Ulysses or someone else. The problem with bringing actual Fallout characters into this thing is voice acting. That is the biggest and only real problem. But if it's not Ulysses, we'll just bring someone else in to treat my wounds.
We should just send an email, just mass email to every single voice actor who worked on New Vegas, even if we can get like screw it, like Doc Mitchell or like just someone.
We find out Doc Mitchell was voiced by like Ben Affleck or something.
Yeah, we're like, and then he says yes, which is the surprising part. It's like, sure, I don't have anything to do.
What are we
today.
gonna do with Doc Mitchell? Yeah, we start thinking.
And then we just say in the video title, Ben Affleck interview. Get 10 million hits.
Yeah, Yuri Lowenthal says no, but Felicia Day and Matthew Perry say sure. I got nothing better to do.
I mean, to be honest, what does Matthew Perry have to do?
What are we gonna do with Matthew Perry though?
Actually, I think Matthew Perry just is starring now in a show about like two gay guys. I'm not sure. I haven't seen it yet, but
interesting.
It's interesting. I'll have to look it up and tell you what it's called.
I know we're tiny, and this is probably but the most realistic voice actor I genuinely believe
is Yuri.
Yuri's pretty big.
Felicia. He's voice acted almost every game character, like not every, but he's in so many games.
And anime.
I mean, anime. He voices Sasuke.
Yeah.
And I noticed that the other day. I was listening to him. I'm like, that's Yuri Lowenthal.
Yuri Lowenthal.
But
I mean, he voices the main character in Fallout New Vegas, for God's sake.
I mean, that's a pretty important role. And in Fallout 4, if certain rumors are correct, that might even be a bigger role for him to play.
if he's coming back, of course, he doesn't like to do too much voice acting.
No. I mean,
he's listed for
he
additional.
Doesn't like to do too much.
He's listed as additional voices in all of the Call of Duty games.
He just plays all the like random
soldiers. Well, that's what he does in Fallout. He goes, "Ah!"
Well, I mean, because people need voice actors like that to save money. They need a voice actor who can play a lot of different voices.
How much do you want to bet he was in Oblivion?
Oh, I'm.
Shit, I don't think he was.
There were only like 6 voice actors. Okay, there were more than 6.
He would cover a lot of them though.
They had like 6 voice actors for all the characters, and then they had like maybe 10 voice actors for specific very
Wait,
very
wait, wait.
important characters. Like
He Yuri Lowenthal was in Grand Theft Auto 5. Guess what his part was?
what?
The local population.
Ah,
Oh
that's
god.
funny. Anyway, but that's a sign of a really good voice actor because they know that he can play all these voices, so they know they can save money by hiring him to create these different and no and no one will notice.
And I mean, we saw with Sasuke that he's a pretty damn good voice actor. Like, it's not like he does.
Yeah, that's not even yeah. Because I feel like it's hard if you're a bad voice actor, you might be able to cut it in a video game because there's so much stuff distracting you in a video game.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're on a show,
No,
there's no
I
hiding.
just meant if you're like voicing random guys in the background, you sometimes you just hire random people for that.
That's sort of
But
what I meant.
Sasuke's like the second, third main character in that show.
Yeah. Yeah, he has a lot of. Although
I mean, I know
Sasuke isn't the hardest voice to do in that show because he sort of just has the same. He's either like whatever, or
I'd
he's
love it
like
if you
I will burn you.
I'd love it if Yuri Lowenthal just shows up, cuts himself twice, and goes, "All right, I'm ready for this."
Yeah. Honestly, like if you think about it, I'd say characters like, you know, I know I said I love these guys, but Kakashi and Jiraiya I think have very complex voice acting. I don't know, might just be me. I love their voice actors, but
Yeah.
now this is turning into a Naruto podcast.
Yeah. What I'll say is one last thing before we close is Killer Bee's Japanese voice actor is very good.
Hmm.
I remember, like, I've been watching the Japanese recently, and that's the only one that I'm like, yeah. Like, I learned a
Yeah.
little bit of Japanese from him.
There's a lot of Japanese voice actors when you first watch the American ones and then go to the Japanese ones, you're like, ew. but
Yeah.
but there are certain Japanese voice actors that I really like.
But anyway,
Yeah.
I don't know who's going to be tending to Puddygashi's wounds, but someone will. Then there'll be a pile of bodies, and Puddy realizes what he's done, and he's like, I will take the name of this dead person, and I will continue on my job. And then eventually, again, we'll have another episode fleshing out what Puddygash does for 8 years. But with you just leave and call Mac up from Camp McCarran and go, all right, there was a problem, I'm safe, the parts, well, they're delivered. You got anything else for me? And then he goes, yeah, we just had words from the Mojave. Someone wants you to deliver a special item. And, we go from there.
Anyway,
So that's the concept
it's
of
great.
episode 161, The Why of Things.
The why of things. It's great. It sounds like a title of a 100 episode.
What's that meant to mean?
Nothing.
Like, I don't understand that at all. It's not like I'm not saying you're insulting me, but I'm just wondering what you mean by that.
I don't know. I just feel like a lot of 100 episodes are very cryptic titles.
What? Oh, the 100. When you said 100 titles, I thought you meant parts of Fallout New Vegas of mine after the episode 100.
Oh.
You meant the
No.
show The 100.
Yeah. I meant the 100.
Did you see any of that yet?
The new ones?
Yeah.
No, I've been too busy streaming and doing stuff today. But I'll have to catch it. Don't talk to me about it. This is a podcast anyway.
Yeah, we could talk about that on this.
No, we can't. I haven't seen it.
Okay.
Hey, happy February.
Yeah.
Guess what I'm gonna do for Valentine's Day?
What are you gonna do for Are you gonna do a YouTube video?
For all the couples out there, I'm gonna do a cover of La Vie en Rose.
Ah,
And I thought you would like that, Putty. But anyway, I think it's a pretty song, and it's easy enough for me to do. So I thought that'd be a nice Valentine's thing to do. Because I mean, what else am I do? There's not like a good video game to do on Valentine's Day.
Hatoku
yeah.
Boyfriend?
I just started thinking about that. Have you played that yet?
Yes.
Is it good?
Yes.
What is it on the PC?
Yes.
Is it on Steam?
Yes.
Do they have a demo?
Yes.
Oh, I'll have to try it out then.
Very good. I finished it multiple times.
Oh wow. Okay, I didn't know you were that into it. I don't think I've ever seen you playing it. Then again, I rarely look at who's playing
I
what.
haven't played it on Steam.
So what are you playing it on?
I bought it from their site. But that was before it got on Steam. But it's on Steam now. It's the same price. I just get it on Steam.
Okay, great.
It's got a very dark, like, if you don't like sad endings, don't play it.
I don't
Sorry.
mind sad endings.
Okay. It gets dark. Like I wouldn't say quickly, because you gotta play it for like 8 hours before you get the dark shit. But
You know, the only thing I don't like is sad beginnings, like Up, the
yeah,
movie Up.
doesn't yeah.
Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah.
I can't remember it very well now.
It has a sad beginning and a sort of melancholy ending, and the middle is happy. Anyway,
They're flying. So yeah. So what about that? Do you think that concept's a thing? A good thing?
no, I think it's great. I am fully behind you. Any help you need on this, I'll back you up. I think this will turn into a. I think for anyone who has genuinely been following this series on both of our channels, or even just one of our channels, they will get this and they will like it. I think if we do it correctly. So I'm totally for it. Yeah.
My only problem is with the visual recording. That's the only problem I'm gonna find with it. Yeah, that'd be
Recording the right visuals, you mean?
yeah, or recording any visuals. Just there's a couple of scenes that are gonna be very tricky.
I've got an idea. Don't I've never really thought about this. Do the people in the game create shadows?
I think so. Yeah.
Would it be possible? Now this is weird. What we could do is we could move, like we could contort people, like okay, have a picture focused only on your character's shadow, and then take a screenshot, and then like take 10 screenshots while you're moving, and then sort of contort it to make it look like the shadows are moving in the video. I don't know.
What's your fascination with shadows?
Well, because that's an easy way to have a visual element, because it's obvious if shadows are moving, like you see shadows in a room, it's obvious two people are talking.
Okay.
But you don't have to see what the two people look like. That's all I meant. If you're having trouble coming up with a visual element, that's something where you don't have to find all you have to find is a room and any shadows.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
That's an idea. We could try it out. I think it definitely is something that we'd have to try out, because I have no idea if it would work. But
I think there's a few locations that we'll have problems with, and then the main problem is the actual explosions. And also
yes, I remember the last time we
divides.
tried to record nuclear explosions. That we had it was probably mostly incompetence on my own part, but we tried to do that 10 times. Anyway,
Looked alright in the end.
yeah, it did. It looked great.
The explosion when we walked out of the Monte Carlo suites on my series looked alright.
That was incredible. I forget how you did that. Oh yeah,
We just shot the nuke up.
Oh, that's right. I was there.
Yeah, you were like, everything's going to be okay.
That was me. Like, I watched the video and I thought, wow, that was really good. And then I guess I forgot that I watched you do it when we recorded it. There's a part of me
you
that
didn't have it with the mornings, the soothing morning sounds in the background.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I love that song.
Morning Mood by I forget who it's by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You helped me find that.
It's on. Yeah. Did
It's
I
on
help?
the YouTube thing. Yeah.
It's on YouTube. Yeah, I really like.
But
I don't
yeah.
like a lot of their songs, but their classical selection. If you need anything classical, they have a great selection of classical music, and it's all the actual music because there is no copyright on classical music.
Well, some classical music. Most.
Oh,
classical.
some new classical music, but as long as with old classical music, as long as it's recorded by an orchestra that says it's okay to play it,
Yeah.
then no one can tell that it's the same song. Is what I'm saying. Anyway.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, so other than that, I think if anyone's gleaned anything from this conversation, I'm glad. I think we've been pretty descriptive. I don't think we've been too vague for people to follow it.
Yeah, I mean, we might have been confusing, but definitely descriptive.
But yeah, that's a concept we're thinking about, and we'll discuss it more in detail in private, I'm sure.
It's a concept he's been thinking about. It's a concept I just learned about.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it a lot because I want to do something between and the finale, which the finale is just going to be so much work. Because do you remember? This is going to be vague as hell. Do you remember the church scene idea? Do you really not? Come on.
I don't.
Ah,
Church scene.
I can't spoil the finale, so we're gonna have to talk about this in private.
Yeah, we'll have to.
there's-
I remember trying to do an intro for one of my parts in a church once.
Do you remember the whole concept of you taking my place?
Yes.
Came
Yeah.
from
No,
a
I remember the
show.
church. I remember the church.
Okay. Okay, well, that church scene is going to be one, hard to film, two, is going to be incredibly hard to edit, and three is going to take forever. Also, the actual battle for Hoover Dam is going to take forever. Then we've got to say goodbye to the companions, and that's going to take forever.
Forever.
And then we've got to, like, do the thing. It's just,
It's rough.
I really want to, but I want to, like, if people are watching this who watch the New Vegas series, once Lonesome Road's finished, there may be another delay. And I know it's like, but there's only 4 parts left, Putty. Why are you going to delay? Because I want to make sure we wrap up the story. Because not only am I trying to tell a complicated story, I think we've actually made a couple of complicated loose ends that we need to tie up. So I want to tie it all up because this was always meant to be my greatest series of all time, and I haven't come 161 parts to fuck it up here. So I'm gonna make sure that those last 4 episodes are what they can be.
I really think this series is genuinely interesting because the series develops so quickly into something like really intriguing. Like it starts as a high quality Let's Play and it ends as like an experience.
Storytelling, you know what
I mean?
Yeah.
And that isn't a bad thing. It's not like you're changing it's like it feels natural. The change, the slow change
Because
to it.
It's so closely linked to the canon of the game.
Exactly. That's why it feels almost as if you're just playing the game and we didn't even
Shit
make
just
this
happens, yeah. But yeah, some of it's really good. And like I said before, with your permission, I'd like to take the intros you made and time fluctuations, put them into some sort of movie at some point and upload them separately so that the story's coherent.
Mm-hmm.
But that's something to look at once the series is finished. I know exactly what we've got to work with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no. Whenever you need, like I said, any help you need, I am totally for making your Fallout New Vegas series
And
bitchin'.
yours. Yeah, because hopefully it'll link in with yours at the end as well. You're doing an ending after you're doing an ending link to our little story after you finish the proper.
I
ending,
hope
aren't
to.
you?
Right now I'm focused on just finishing Old World Blues.
Yeah,
But
same.
after I'm done with Old World Blues, I definitely think that's when I have to start focusing on. Okay, now I need to start winding it down because. Like even though you still have one more DLC to go, Lonesome Road is so heavily linked with the end of the game that you have to know what you're doing before you go into Lonesome Road, you know? And you did that. You knew exactly. I mean, you had at least you had an idea of what the ending was going to be going into Lonesome Road, you know?
Yeah. I think like the thing, like this isn't too spoilery. The thing that really helped me with Lonesome Road is at least I had built Lonesome Road so much throughout the 2 years even like the teaser for the game was about Lonesome Road,
Yeah.
and in part 120 we go into Lonesome Road in part 150. In part 120 the development of the character Padigash to the point where Ulysses needs to help him starts. So we go about 40 episodes. I think it does actually, like in my commentary, reflects as well the torment the character goes through and the amount of building he has to have to get to the point where he, you know what I mean, the discoveries he goes through as well.
Mm-hmm. His drug addiction to deal with the world.
The continued drug addiction.
Yeah.
Because in every little, like I think in part 120,
He tries to give up a couple times.
Yeah, in part 120, the reason why I go into Older Blues is because I just got off a drug-induced coma. Yeah, actually it was. In 120, he gets out from a drug-induced coma and then goes to Older Blues. And in part 150, he gets up from a drug-induced coma and goes to Lonesome Road. So it's a constant drug addiction.
And then at the end of Lonesome Road, Yes Man wakes him up from a drug-induced coma and tells him, "Hey, there's a battle." Anyway,
that just reminds me of that Yes Man bit I did in 120. You know, the Mr. Popo.
I liked it. It was funny.
Yeah, 120. You know how much I love the Ulysses bit I did recently, but 150, sorry, is just one of my best videos, if not the best. It's because most of my special
I haven't
videos...
seen it yet because I'm trying to watch chronologically, so don't give away anything. No,
Okay,
just kidding. I kind of know what it is because you talked about it so much.
I've sent you a few bits, but then you were ill as shit when I sent you a few bits. I'm not
I
sure.
was what?
You were ill as shit.
That is right. I was. It was a month illness. It was the worst I've ever been since I was like 3 years old.
Yeah. But like 150, I mean, most of my special parts are just special, but this one was mixture of live comm, high effort. There was a montage, which I mean, it wasn't the best one I've ever done in terms of like syncing, but I
At one
love the
point, you had
song.
a helicopter camera, had a time lapse
You know what? Both of those things exist.
in
There are,
your thing.
I think so. We're near a helicopter. There is a time lapse.
Yeah, there you go. That's all you need.
Um, there's sound effects. There's so much story progression in there as well. Um, it's nice. It's also the last part Craig Boone appears in, so that's a sad goodbye. I allude to it a little bit, but I don't really make a big deal out of it. Uh,
Craig Boone is like your scarecrow. I
Ow.
love you most of all, Scarecrow. That's how. Because you have all these companions, but
No, the one that I love most of all, and I think I'm sure
Is Eddie?
you is Eddie. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
he's always been there.
But Eddie
Like
wouldn't know, how to take that.
he blows up, man.
Exactly.
Because I know people haven't seen this yet, but you know the montage of pictures I have just before I face Ulysses.
Yeah,
Like Eddie's the last one.
yeah. I did like that, and I thought it was very like I don't know. My one complaint with the montage of pictures is they were all really different sizes, and I think that was a little bit weird.
I
but,
liked it though. It was like my head was making sense of them.
well, your head makes sense of a lot of things, buddy.
I like the
Your
Lily
life
picture.
wouldn't make sense if your head didn't make
Like
sense of certain.
those pictures were also really random because some were in-game pictures and then some were cartoons and then Lily's just wasn't even Lily.
I mean, it looked like you spent a couple hours shopping on what's it called?
DeviantArt?
Yeah, DeviantArt.
No, I just typed in their names on Google and found
Yeah,
the
yeah.
pictures. Did you notice they were all companions except I didn't have Rex. I didn't have anyone from.
I noticed you didn't have
Honest
Rex. I
Hearts.
didn't see Lily. Oh, did you put Lily?
Lily's in there, but she's not a super mutant version. She's a
Yeah, you
human
didn't have any
human.
Honest Hearts companions. You didn't have. That's basically
Rex and
it.
Roxy.
Um,
I also didn't have. I also did have Red Lucy. She was in there.
for me, I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think of. I like my relationship with my companions in my game because, like, as sad as it was for Cass to die, I feel like that gave my Let's Play a little bit of a twist that I think most Let's Plays wouldn't have. Because, I mean, I was thinking, I could reload this and re-record this, but I'm thinking, we already finished requests, and,
Well, you have such a story-driven, quest-driven LPs that ours are. When you have a companion die, that's completely out of the norm. So it does add something different to the LP.
it does, and I was thinking, as long as we did our quests, there's no reason for me to roll back to save. I don't need,
Well, except the ending. But yeah.
except, and she's gonna be in the ending in a way.
Yeah, but no, I mean the ending cutscene slides.
Anyway, but
Are you
yeah,
not gonna do the ending cutscene slides?
no, I will. I know what you're talking about. I was just,
And hers is so good too.
yeah, it is.
She kicked down the door, said "fuck it all."
Hers will just say, well, which is stupid. The ending cutscene slide will probably just say, she died, but she did what she wanted to and then died, which is even more badass.
Marshall,
Like, she
your
went
East
out in a
Coast is
blaze of
showing.
glory. What?
Your East Coast was just showing for a second there.
My East Coast. I don't even live in the East Coast.
She did, I know. She did what she wanted and then she died. Okay.
Okay. Your fake Italian accent was just showing. Anyway. It's a the meatball.
I don't know what you're talking about.
My name is Tony.
She family. Say haunt me.
Anywho, so besides Falling to Vegas, is anything else going on your channel right now?
No. Well, it's Minecraft.
Yeah, no, I feel like Minecraft is definitely a big, like. Oh,
On
by the
my
way,
channel?
as far as Minecraft, like, just be a little bit kind to me in the comments, because I'm currently making a switch from an editing program, and so some of the editing might be a little
talking
bit
about the
different and weird. We discovered that earlier today that I totally had this weird intro that I didn't know I had. So just like, I don't know.
You must have known what you were doing because you changed the intro from the first part to the second part, but you left the title the same.
Exactly. Yeah. It's weird. I should probably change the titles
I
now
don't
that I
know. I
know
like
that.
your new titles though.
I do. Maybe it'll just be like a weird. I had an idea at one point just to have one part where there's 3 or 4 different mentions of the title, and each time it's a different title, so no one knows what the actual title is. Like the title would be the title of the
Wait,
video.
wait, I've got it. But the title of the video, you don't have a title.
Ooh, yeah. So there'd be like a title in the thumbnail. There'd be a title that I say at the beginning of the video, like, "Hey, welcome to part 76. This is bullshit" or something, and then there would be an intro that says the title, and there'd be an outro that says the title. Like I'd fit in as many ways to say the title as
you
possible,
could, yeah.
and they would all be different. Anyway, but yeah, no, I feel like
You
Minecraft.
so you just said part 176, and that brought up a question in my mind. Do you think your New Vegas LP is going to be longer than mine, or do you think mine's going to be in terms of part numbers? Which one do you think is going to be longer? And
In terms
I
of part numbers,
I can tell you how long mine is. I
Okay.
think it's going to be, I think 165, around that ballpark.
Okay, I'll say. Okay, well, it's one. I'm up to 135 right now, and I don't know. We'll have to finish Old World Blues.
How far are you away from finishing Older Blues?
Oh, a while. I mean, we just got the upgrade for the Sonic gun.
Right.
Anyway,
So, and what part did you say you were on?
the 135th part is the one I'm in during like rendered out.
Okay, so I finished Older Blues 138.
Oh
So-
yeah, I will probably Old World Blues for me will probably be longer than yours then. I mean, most likely. It may not be,
It
but
was 18 parts.
okay, well maybe Old World Blues won't be longer, but the part it
series.
falls at will be later.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's hard to I to be honest, I don't know, but I will say this. We are doing it. In fact, mine might be longer because I'm just doing a lot more random stuff. I feel like I'll just.
I discovered every location.
You did.
Yeah.
You said you weren't going to do that originally.
I know. There was only a couple left, so I thought I'd go around.
Yeah, you just said screw it. Okay, well then I don't know. It'll be very close. I'll say that. I'm definitely not going to make it to 200 parts, and I don't know if I'll make it to 180. So I may fall around 160. Who knows? We'll see how it goes. I'm not going to make any declarations right now because we still have to finish 2 DLC, and there's a part in between the 2 DLCs, and there's
I
the
think
ending.
you'll find Lonesome Road, at least I did, shorter than you remember.
Yeah, well, I feel like Lonesome Road, because it's a straight path, it's easier to loot. Like, you don't get lost.
I recorded like 30 to 40 minute sessions because I felt like that was the best flow, and it ended up taking me 9 or 10 parts.
Yeah, like, for example, like Dead Money, looting in Dead Money for me is so confusing because you're like, wait, have I been here before? But in Lonesome Road, it's like you're on a straight path. There's only a few buildings on each.
My problem with Lonesome Road looting, and it wasn't in the past, but it definitely is now, is that when I walked into Lonesome Road, the first like part or two, I figured out, you know what? I don't need any of this shit. I've already got
So
all
true.
the money.
I mean, if you wanted to do that, you could just, fuck it,
I basically do by the middle of it.
I mean, yeah, I definitely have enough money to, like, do
I
whatever
look at
I
people
want.
for like blood sausages, and if they don't have one, I just leave them alone.
But I do have a disgusting fetish with accumulating as many caps as possible in Fallout.
Well, I spent loads on the red glare upgrades, and I thought to myself, well, what else am I going to spend them on? I've bought all the Gunrunner's arsenal weapons. So I was like, okay, well, look, I don't need any more caps. I'll spend them.
Just buy combat armor for each of your companions.
But I like them having unique clothing because I'm not in hardcore.
That's true. You're not in hardcore. I honestly, I have them now. I still have them wear unique clothing, but I'm just, if they die, I keep it. Basically, here's my thing. I keep an eye on Eddie and Rex, but most of the other companions, they rarely get killed. Eddie for me always gets killed. Rex a lot of times get killed because his attacks are so physical and up close. Veronica, even though she's very physical with her attacks, she always stays near me so I can keep an eye on her and keep her safe. Yeah.
I've got this thing with Veronica where because of her spoilers, because she's very my like fitting clothing for her is usually power armor. She's usually probably the safest of my companions.
Yeah, no, definitely. But at the same time, like, you still have to keep an eye on her because if, like, let's say I'm exploring a Deathclaw cave, like the one next to my house.
You're also on very hard.
That's true. But if I'm exploring the Deathclaw cave next to my house and she's up front, as she should be, punching the Deathclaw, 3 hits could kill her. Like,
I would not go into Deathwind Cavern with companions.
With companions.
I just leave them stealth your way through.
I am probably going to record maybe I'm going to do a test a couple times just to see if companions can survive, and if not, I'll just do what you said.
Mean, they can, but I just say stealthing is just going to be easier.
Well, I'm not going to stealth. I want to kill all of them.
Yeah, stealth kill them all.
Oh, yeah, I could do that. Because the way I'm going to fit that into the intro of that part is I'm going to be like, those death claws are like, I'll like ask one of my companions. I'll be like, oh yeah, Veronica, even though she won't be with me at the time. Hey, Veronica, have you seen Deathclaw the other day? It like walked up and knocked on our door, and yeah, I should edit in your voice whenever I say Deathclaw. But did you see the Deathclaw coming in up to our door and knocking on our door the other day? And it's like, we need to take care of those. And so the reason will be that, we need to clear them out so I can live safely at my house without a death.
They just respawn outside though, right?
Really?
Yeah.
Well, we'll cross that bridge. We'll never mention that.
Yeah. But yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. On my channel, as I told you earlier, if the viewers are interested, I've recently become, I think, more dedicated to trying to upload more frequently. And even if my theory doesn't pan out, which it very well might not, I still think that's a good thing to do, like, to get series moving. Because I feel like even if I'm only uploading 1 part a day, at least I'm doing that. I feel like if I don't try to upload 2 parts a day, then eventually I'll start like grinding slowly along. Like, for example, I think Zoe's life has lasted way too long. I think it's been our
disagree.
And I feel like we should. Okay, maybe it's fine if it lasts a long time, but we should be farther than part 60 by now, in my opinion.
Yes.
So that's what I mean. I don't mean that her life is lasting too long. It's a fun LP. What I mean is I should be farther than that by now. Like, I should be part 80, part 100 at least.
Sim seems like the series that I would always like. I know you're not, but if I was doing it, I would probably always have it there. I would always have a Sim series.
See, I can't do that because I already have Fallout, which I'm probably always going to be doing something in Fallout. I definitely am. And I've got Minecraft, which is an indefinite series at this point. So to add another indefinite series, at that point, I'm basically like, I'm basically just sitting in a room, continuing making videos until I die.
I'm just like, I like how that Minecraft series became indefinite, and I know we've talked about this before.
Yeah, for those of you who don't know, so what happened was the Minecraft series dwindled.
Yeah.
And we hadn't recorded it withered is another word. We hadn't recorded an episode in a very long time, and the series itself was never very, I don't know.
Good.
Yeah, good, polished, popular. Actually, it was decently popular. Mainly because we got a lot of the people like at my school to watch it. That's all. Like for those early parts, some of the people in it, like David and Trevor, I think got their friends to watch it or something. I have no idea. But the point is, it wasn't my most popular series. That's not the point. It was pretty bad, and we didn't record a lot of parts. So I decided, I'm like, I need to make room for more parts, another series on my channel. And since we're not really doing anything with Minecraft, I'm just gonna finish it up. And I called Putty in to have one last thing where we would like. I even prepared for it. I'm like, yeah, I'm sure Putty will be fine with this. And so I went into the game and I spawned in a wither skeleton, it's a wither, which is basically this 3-headed snake thing that spits out fiery heads that explode. Like, it's really tough to kill. I don't know what we did with it. I don't know if we ever actually killed it. Or it's just,
probably under the castle somewhere.
It just continued to burrow underground because the skulls explode and break up rock. So it would break up walk and continue to move in that direction. So it's probably like miles under the earth, like thousands of blocks away, just continuing to burrow.
Oh, I've just thought of a new religion.
Oh, wait, I'm not done.
I know.
Okay, so basically I spawned it in and I'm thinking, yeah, this will be our last quest. It'll be, we have to kill the Wither. And that'll be our last finale for Minecraft. It wasn't like the fancy finale, but it was something. And I get you on the horn, and what'd you say?
I said, oh, what was it like? What did I
I'm
get
pretty
in
sure
and
you
just say,
basically said, no, I
we're
don't think
not ending it?
we ever recorded it. Like, we didn't record you saying this, but you were like, I was like, yeah, I want to do this as the ending, and you're like, oh,
I don't think we should end it.
you do that noise that you do when you're like, when you totally disagree with someone, you're like, ah, I don't think we should end it, and then I'm like, what?
What have I become like a 16-year-old girl?
Uh-huh. Anyway, I don't
I
think
don't think we should end
I don't think we
it.
should end it. And we were going out. I asked Stephanie to break up. I don't think we should end it. But yeah. But Putty kept me in the abusive relationship for a couple more months, and
I'm
now
still in it.
no, I know it's not an abusive relationship anymore. Is what I'm saying. I think then we actually turned into a series. But the only reason it's indefinite is because Putty said I want it to be indefinite. So I thought okay, fine.
So we need to get a dedicated term.
Why did you? So Steven messaged me.
I know, because
He
I
said-
told him to.
He said you bothered him, and I'm like, was it Putty? Was it? If you want, I will. You know what? After this,
Yeah.
I got some money on PayPal. After this, we'll look for an affordable thing.
Yeah.
If it's decently affordable, I think I saw something the other day. Okay, but that's anyway.
Because, like, sorry to air the dirty laundry, but whenever Steven messages me about server problems, I'm like, I don't know how to run a server, okay? You're in some back alley place in the US, and I'm in some back alley place in the UK. This is not how a normal connection should work. So,
yeah.
So today I just got, like, look, if you want the server to be fixed, just go pester Marshall for a dedicated one. And he's like,
And-
dedicated what? And I'm like, dedicated server.
Yeah. And then he messaged me. What's funny is he messaged me. He said, Putty asked me if you could get a dedicated server for him, which implied like it's still your server if I pay for it.
Well, my intention was that we would all pay for it.
Oh, well,
Yeah,
that'll
that-
work too. If I'll say this, I will buy it, and if anyone is willing to pitch in, that's great. So anyway, to continue,
Go ahead.
what the fuck were we talking about? Oh yeah, what was your exact reason for wanting to continue the server? I remember or to continue the series. I remember you had a good reason.
I think my event.
I
don't
hope
know if
you
I
did.
don't know if I had a great reason, but I remember
I had one of those reasons that like messes with my head, and I'm like, I feel guilty if I don't now.
I saw potential for it, and the second thing was like, the series hadn't been great up until then, and I had a big part to play in that, and so I felt a little guilty of leaving that shit stain on your channel if we didn't improve it. So that was one of my reasons.
And that was my same reason for wanting to
End
name it Revamped.
Oh yeah, okay. To just separate it from the previous
Wait, what'd
one.
you say when I said Revamped?
End it.
End it, yeah. Well, that was my reason for ending it, and my yeah. That's why I wanted to end it, because it was just a shit stain, and it wasn't getting anywhere. And not only now we're at the point where I have like 3 people. Like the next time we record, we're just gonna have to do a regular session because I have like 3 new people who want to join.
Yeah.
Well,
I know I've got like a build that I'm thinking about.
we can do that, but I think at the first of the next session we'll just have to. We
also
have
need to pay everyone.
I do. So you know what?
We can't do it tonight, but yeah.
Not tonight, but we'll talk about it. But are you free tomorrow?
I should be. I can fit some hours.
Okay, we should try to see if people are available for it tomorrow. Anyway, because I think here, by the way, Putty, there's like a huge blizzard where I am right now. Like all the schools are closing tomorrow, so if any of my friends are in school, they won't be tomorrow.
You guys. I know you guys had a really big blizzard in the northeast, and
I'm in the Midwest.
Yeah, I know. No, it's probably shifting.
It's like America. The blizzard is in.
Well, you had like a record-breaking blizzard in the northeast.
Yes, yeah, it was bad.
And that system ended up coming over here, and it snowed for like 2 hours. So yeah, but that's probably the end of our snow for the year.
Man, I could not imagine. Yeah, I remember. Like,
I was driving in it.
A bunch of British people. Oh,
yeah.
Was it your first time driving through the snow?
Through the snow, yeah. It was really bad too. I was down like a 60-mile-per-hour road.
When I learned how to drive, I started driving in like 6 inches of snow. Like not that much, but it was like I was sliding all over the fucking place.
It's not that, yeah, it wasn't that the snow was like on the floor. It was just like pelting the windscreen. I was like, oh god.
Oh, that's not that bad.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I remember like a lot of British people are always complaining about the weather, especially when I mentioned that I hope to move somewhere in England. They're like, "Oh, the weather's terrible," and I'm like, "Oh, why?" And they're like, "It's cold and it's dark," and I'm like, "It's cold," and they're like, "Yeah, like it gets down to like." Some temperature and I when I found out that it almost never snows, I'm like, dude, I basically live in Alaska compared to you guys. Like it snows here for months, and when it does, hell freezes over. And in the summer, it's so hot. Like I live in a place where the seasons are incredibly diverse. I'll say that.
That's our problem. It's at least mine that
They're not diverse where you live.
they're not diverse. Like
Well, if you ever want to come to Indiana, you will feel every season in its full glory.
in winter we want to be snowed in with a fireplace, but instead we go out in the cold. In summer we want to be boiling. We want to be out there playing things, but instead it rains. That's my problem with the British weather. It's gotten worse thanks to global
See,
warming.
for me, my favorite season is spring, and that is when it rains. So,
Spring here is like our best season as well because it doesn't rain most of the time.
damn it.
Unless you've got like hay fever, in which case spring is just dreadful for you.
I don't. I kind of get allergies at this time of the year. Actually, it's hard to tell for me when I get allergies because now I have 4 cats and I'm slightly allergic to cats. So if I had seasonal allergies, I don't know when they are because
I don't have seasonal allergies, but I have a condition with my joints, and in the winter I have to like roll out of bed to shock my body into moving. Because I just can't move unless I like roll myself. The pain of hitting the floor gets my body working again.
Jesus Christ.
And sometimes I have to just like crawl myself into the shower to warm myself up. That's why I don't like the winter, but this year hasn't been too bad, thankfully.
Yeah.
It's almost over too. Yeah. Also, we've been able to afford to put the heating on this year, which has helped.
Anyway, we learned about Putty's situation.
It was a lot better than last winter when we didn't have a roof. So
Dial 574 to buy Putty very basic amenities: heat, a roof, blankets.
I got a £1,200 computer. I got like 3 TVs, but I don't have a roof.
But you don't have a roof. That's like the definition of consumer spending. Like we have to like get plumbing. Oh, but there's a commercial for the new iPod.
That's one thing I'll never do is buy an Apple product.
You know what's incredible? We have got to get back to like what we decided about talking at the beginning of this at some point, but one really, this is kind of a random podcast, but one really interesting
it's a proper podcast.
It is, isn't it? And I feel like it's entertaining. I'm having a great time. But anyway,
that's all that really matters.
I mean, isn't that what when our YouTube channels are at the size they are, all that really matters is if we're having fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
But and this video ends up shooting to like 10 million views.
Yeah. And then we look like jackasses.
We look like total dicks. But
10 million views, 10 million dislikes.
Yeah, they're like, I watch this just so I could smush it in your face. No. But
you were saying something, I'm
sure. I was. What was I saying?
I don't know.
What?
Fallout 4?
No, wait. What were we talking about before I started saying something?
Minecraft?
No. After that. Weather. And we're talking about weather and it'll come back to me eventually. What?
You moving?
No. I mean, I am, but that's not going to be for a while. I did get a new setup.
Did you manage to hit the UCAS deadline?
Yes, I did. I applied to a few schools. I'm actually not sure if I'm going to go to university or I'm going to take certain kinds of classes. I don't know. I'm looking at all the options, but I did apply to schools. But I'm going to make the decision later.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have till May, I think, to like tell the unis that you're saying yes or no.
I knew that, and that's why I just decided I had to apply, and that way I had the option later.
Yeah, obviously, yeah.
But
that's what I told all my friends. It's like if you want to go to university, if you don't want to go to university and you apply, you don't have to go to university. But if you want to go to university and you don't apply, you just can't go to university.
Yeah.
It's always good to have the option.
So I totally forgot what I was talking about. If it comes back to me, I'll try to fit it in. But let's go to Fallout 4.
Don't want to touch on the Royal Rumble.
Oh, would you like to talk about the Royal Rumble?
Nah, it's not important. It's Philly shat on Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns isn't ready. There you go.
Would you like to talk about your podcast idea?
Yeah, so
Before we go to
about
Fallout,
doing a podcast, and here we are doing it.
No. Would you like to talk about the wrestling one?
Well, I'm not sure if I'm doing it yet, but maybe I'll do some sort of like David Meltzer style, Art of Wrestling style podcast at some point. But
well, if any of you guys are interested in an exclusive wrestling podcast, comment.
Because everyone who has made it an hour into a Fallout podcast is exactly the audience I'm looking for on that one.
Yeah, definitely, actually. Anyone who's willing to listen to us for an hour on any topic is the audience I'm looking for on all my videos.
It's true.
But yeah, the perfect audience, really, because the audience retention on that will poof, skyrocket. But yeah, Fallout. Are we going to talk about Fallout 4 or just Fallout in general?
Well, I think we've talked about Fallout in general.
And we kind of talked about our Fallout series, Fallout New Vegas. We didn't talk about Fallout.
What I was asking you before the podcast started is to come up with a topic on Fallout we
could
discuss. And you didn't.
I didn't.
So
well, you kept confusing with smoke and lights and...
We've got we've got the wish list idea, the fears idea we can talk about.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea, and I think I have an idea if you want after the fears idea to talk about. But sure, let's start with the fears.
Well, okay, so I'll talk about the basic concept. So starting next week, we will be listing our 10 wishes and our 10 fears for Fallout 4 and discussing them together in detail. We'll be like attacking each other's arguments, discussing stuff like that. And but this week we just decided to pick one as an example, and it's in no particular order. But next week we'll start it at number 10, and we'll go all the way down to our most important wish and most important fear in about 10 weeks' time. But this week we're just doing a random one. So I'd like to start with the wish list. Marshall, what's a random wish you'd like for Fallout 4?
Well, my random wish for Fallout. Now I have thought a lot more about my random fear, because obviously, you know, for Fallout, for a new video game, all you can really wish is that you'll enjoy it. But
it's not really your wish.
No.
Okay.
That'd be really cheesy and stupid and a cop out. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is it's hard to come up with a wish. You know what I mean? Anyway, for me, but my wish is I would hope that the game really expands on the certain aspects of the crafting system, because this is just a random wish. Obviously I have a lot of wishes, but currently I think in Fallout New Vegas they did make really good improvements. They added a reloading bench, and they added a lot of really cool recipes of like explosives and a bunch of random things, like you could take junk metal and put it together. What?
Campfires.
Yeah, campfires too. I totally forgot. Cooking. So Fallout New Vegas really did a lot of cool stuff with the crafting in the game, and I do think that to see Fallout 4 continue to work on that and not to just relapse into Fallout 3's crafting system would be excellent. I really hope that's something they do, and I hope they continue to work on items you can craft, and obviously if you're improving on a crafting system, you have to add more items that make sense into the game that are also canon. So I hope to see the crafting. For example, I never really saw... I like the reloading bench, but there's something there missing. I think they need to make it more usable. Like on my first 3 playthroughs, I never used the reloading bench. It took me a while to get used to the reloading bench. So I think they need to make it a more friendly crafting system. You know what I mean?
I do, but I'll say that like I do like the fact that it's just kind of like there at the side. It's not required for the game. They don't ever really tell you about it, but the advanced players just figure it out.
Well, and that's why I like it, because sort of like Caravan.
Yeah.
Because oh my God, speaking of advanced players only figure it out. I mean, you know you're an advanced player in Fallout New Vegas if you know how to play Caravan.
Yeah.
Because if you ask any new player, like, oh yeah, so you played the tutorial with Chet, right? And they're like, yeah. Oh, so you know how to play Caravan. They'll be like, no. But yeah, it took me forever to learn how to play Caravan. And then, did I teach you, or did you?
Chet, it's Ringo.
It's Ringo. Sorry, Chet. Sorry, yeah, not Chet. Not
you
Chet.
hate Chet.
I hate Chet.
Um, no, you taught me. You taught me.
Yeah,
I didn't know until I
and
played
it's a
like
pretty fun game once you get into it.
it's definitely useful.
My sister, we had a power outage the other day, and my sister
I've I've
was
played Caravan in real life.
yeah, we wanted to play, and I was like, "Well, you want me to teach you a game? It's called Caravan." And I forgot two of the rules because it's anyway. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. But as I
The only
was,
thing with Caravan is it's not a multi. It's a two-player game.
yes, that's a.
So
It's sort of
that
like War.
I often like there's two go-to game, well, three if you count poker, but that's not really a go-to game for me anymore. There's two go-to card games I'll teach people when I want to play. If it's a two-player game, it's Caravan, but otherwise it's Chase the Bitch. I end up going with Chase the Bitch more often
I've
because
never heard of that game or played it, so you'll have to teach it to me at some point.
yeah, probably.
I'll have to teach you Euchre.
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it's Euchre's a game exclusively in the Midwest of America. No one in any part of America except where I live has heard of it either.
I'm
Anyway,
sure Chase the Bitch is Welsh or something.
chase the bitch.
Yeah,
Is it chasing a female dog or chasing a bitch?
it's chasing the Queen of Spades.
Oh, so it's a bitch. Okay. um,
Yeah, so you were talking about crafting.
yeah. Anyway, it's something that, like you said, I was kind of. It's something that doesn't get in the way of the game and that they can improve upon. And at the end of the day, I think it's a way for them to safely innovate, because if they innovated it,
Definitely.
they won't, even if they messed it up, it's not going to ruin the game. And at least they tried to add on to it. But if they tried to innovate, like the story, for example, they have to do it right. They can't innovate and mess up on that. Or if they try to innovate with in my opinion, the Pip-Boy,
Okay.
you can't mess up on that. It has to be right.
UI then, yeah.
Yeah, UI. But I feel like the crafting system, you can play around with it and see where it goes. So that's one of my wishes, is that they feel that they continue to work on what New Vegas did with their crafting system. Anyway.
Yeah, the crafting system. The most exciting thing I've ever heard about innovation in the crafting system, or ever thought about, and I think it was 3 years ago now. 3 years ago, do you remember Fallout Online was coming out?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know nowadays I wouldn't like to see the next Fallout game be an online game, but when it was coming out, I would still like to see a Fallout Online game if it's a side project, because one of the coolest things I thought of when that game was coming out is me and a friend would just get a shop in the middle of a Fallout world, and we would have skills. We would craft things and we should sell them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that sounded like the coolest thing in the world to me. And that just reminds me of the crafting system, just making your own guns and shit. That'd be awesome.
I feel like that'd have to be done well, but yeah, I think it'd be cool if they're somehow able, like, let's say you set up a shop in Good Springs, for example. For them to do that well, they would have to make sure that NPCs would randomly come into the store and need to buy things.
There's actually have you what's
And
it
that does,
called?
at the same time, that sounds like a mod almost. That sounds like a mod idea.
Have you ever played Racketeer?
I haven't.
Right. Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
Right. Do you know what it is then?
No. I
Okay,
just
so-
heard of the word Racketeer as a
Okay,
game.
well, Racketeer is a game. The traditional shopkeeper in RPGs.
Mm-hmm.
You play as the shopkeeper,
Oh.
and it's a lot more
Sort of
exciting
like
than
playing
you
as the
think.
border guard in Papers, Please.
Yeah, kind of. Except like with the RPG guy, there's a lot of tropes involved with that, or the girl, as it is. You know what I mean? Like the traditional RPG shop man, like Tom Nook or Kecleon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's hard to think of traditional RPG shop guys, but you know, the traditional RPG shop guy. And yeah, but we're getting a bit off topic. But yeah, the crafting system is cool as hell. Making your own guns, making your own armor, making your own food. I've always liked. That's one of the things I liked about Fallout New Vegas. And as much as I slam Honest Hearts, that it brought a lot to the table. Honest Hearts
Yeah.
in terms of crafting.
Yeah, it did.
I mean, it has what is it's still in my opinion the best light armor in the game, which you have to make yourself.
And I feel like that's the thing about Honest Hearts. Like, you can like, I feel like one of your biggest things against it is that the story is not as good as, I mean, I'll let you say, but what would you say your biggest thing against it is?
It's not the story is very well told. The voice acting is great. It's very well fleshed out. I just don't like the topics they deal with.
Mhm.
It's not that they haven't given me the quality I need. It's just that it's not the subject matter that I want.
And for
Same
me,
thing with Point Lookout. Is that the one in the swamp?
yeah.
Yeah, it's the same thing with Point Lookout.
See, for me, I think Honest Hearts is the DLC that they wanted to try a few things on, and you could tell they were just using it to try things on because of how little they connected it to the other DLC. Because
Yeah.
they knew, okay, this is the DLC. I mean, this may have not gone through their head, but let's say they said, okay, this is the DLC we're going to try a few new things on. Well, they're thinking, okay, if this goes wrong, we don't want it to bring down the really awesome story we're building with the other 3 DLC. So we'll disconnect it, dislodge it from that story. And that way, if people don't like it, it doesn't ruin their overall arcing story. And I think like you said, the crafting is awesome. The amount of like just going around and finding plants in that game, that's another thing I'd love for the crafting system in Fallout 4
Harvesting.
to involve more random plants. Yeah. I don't want it to make it a big, like, I don't want it to be like Far Cry where like you need to harvest these plants. I want it to be something that it could.
Skyrim does a really good job with that.
Yes, I want it to make it a thing like you can do this if you want, or you can just buy it at a store, like,
Yeah.
or you don't even need to buy it. Like, so I think it would be interesting for them to add more plants that are involved in crafting that you can just like find, like a really rare one that you didn't even know existed until like 3 games in, and that'd just be a little thing to brighten your day, you know? Like, you know what it feels like when you discover something new, no matter how small it is. When you discover something new a while into one of the Fallout games, you feel awesome. Like, you're like,
Yeah.
I'm an explorer, you know?
Yeah. And then loads of new ideas go through your head. Like,
even
what
if
does
it's
this mean?
even if it's the smallest thing in the world. Like, I discovered a new, just like 2 skeletons the other day that I hadn't seen before, and I was like, this is awesome. I'm gonna analyze this for an hour, you know?
Yes, exactly.
But I guess I got kind of lost. But yeah, crafting. I want them to experiment more with the crafting system. What's your wish?
My wish is that the game world remains at least the same size, if not smaller, than what we've seen with New Vegas and 3.
Okay. See, this I think is a really interesting wish, and I think I know where you're going with it, because I know what you're going with it, and I think it's interesting because a lot of people, you would hear them saying they want it even bigger.
Yeah.
You know, they want it Skyrim size or larger, which, and you're saying this. I think you're saying it because I think you said it to me once that Old World Blues is good because it's all very in a compressed size.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good. I didn't even think of that when I was making the wish, but that's a very good example.
Okay.
But that is a very good example of what this point is. I just think with 3 especially for me, but New Vegas and 3, the world as it is does not have enough in it to fill out the size that it is anyway. It's quantity over quality in a lot of different places. But like there's large, I mean, about 5 or 6 of my episodes are entitled Pointless Traveling. And that's probably not a great thing to have in your game. And I'd like it to be just more things in the game to keep you interested. I'd like to, if you travel for 5 or 6 minutes, you come across a new set of quests, not traveling for 20 minutes, you know what I mean? And I like the idea of community being spread out. And you don't need to have people everywhere, just things to do. And I know that there are things to do almost around every corner, but more interesting things to do. Decisions to be made. Whether you, like, there's a stranded, there's somebody like being kept by geckos. Like, I know there's a fake one in New Vegas, but someone seriously trapped by geckos.
There are like a few places there's a lot of places in Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 3. I think there's a problem with both the games. Like you were saying, where they have locations where there's nothing to do at all. You go there, it doesn't even look interesting.
Basin Creek building.
Yeah, or like random shack. Or there's no good loot there. So
Harper Shack.
Yeah. Hey.
Monte Carlo suites.
Yeah. These are empty buildings that were shitty, and we made them into something. Because you go there, for one, there's no good loot, so that's one thing. There was no reason to go there in the first place in that part of the game. There's no story. There's no logs. It's not referenced in any other part of the game, so it's not like you're going there thinking like, oh, this is where they walked. And it looks boring, so you can't even speculate.
Yeah, like the Basin Creek building looks like every other building in the game.
Exactly. It's a problem with Skyrim as well, but we're talking about Fallout. And I think
Skyrim's caves.
Yeah. Skyrim's caves and other types of. I mean, it has more than caves.
Oh,
Really,
but I just remember every cave in Skyrim looking the same, and some are just useless.
their cave. I mean, most of their things are repeated. Their caves, their
Yeah.
grottos, their I mean, I can't really think of it all. I haven't played in a while, but yeah. Anyway, but it's definitely a Bethesda problem to
Yes.
to 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 add to add places that there's no reason for that to be there. And it's like, even if it's a small reason, you have to give it a reason. Even if it's the
And
tiniest thing in the world, give it something for me to sink my teeth into.
and it's much easier to do that when you don't like try and make your world bigger and better than ever.
Mhm.
Like just stay where you are right now and add a little more. Like
Well,
don't get bigger.
and I wouldn't mind the same size map, but less locations, like more traveling. Because I feel like a lot of the interesting things happen to you while you're traveling.
Okay.
This is just like, I'm just running with this, but like you run into bandits or you run into random things that happen to you along the road, or you run into unmarked locations while you're traveling. And I think
As long as there's things to do there, I'll agree with you. My I'm not asking for like a fast travel marker every 2 steps, but what I'm asking for is I like choices, I like decisions, and I like things that affect the game. So if there's somebody just walking the roads, and maybe take away the hostile marker thing. If you don't know whether they're hostile or not, and you kill like a random guy walking the road, 2 hours of gameplay later, you find out you killed a merchant for a company you're now working for, and then that gets you in loads of shit.
Mhm.
That'd be cool.
yeah, and I think or you don't shoot them and you go up to them in good faith and you find out they're raiders and now they're sticking
Yeah.
you up for all your money and they've got a gun straight to your head. So at this point it's going to be a lot harder for you if because you walked right up to them. So
Yeah, and like if the story of the game, a really cool concept I don't think I've talked about before, is that you're looking for someone, but not in the same way as you were looking for Benny, but more of someone was taken from you by raiders and you're looking for them.
Mhm.
If you see raiders that look like them, and then you've got to stealthily track them, but that's not like a quest. That's just something you've got, like you could do, and if you do it, you might get some more information, or if you don't, well, it's not going to affect the story, but you don't get that information.
yeah. So I mean generally so this whole idea of wanting a smaller map ties into
Or
the
same size. I'm happy with the same size as New Vegas.
ties into just trying to give the map more purpose.
Yeah, because I feel if you make it bigger, they're gonna run into more problems. You haven't perfected this size yet. Wait until you perfect this size.
And I think the
before you-
size also depends on where it is. Like when you like depending on where Fallout 4 is. If it's in Boston, when I think of Boston, I kind of think
Yeah.
of a smaller map for whatever reason. Boston's
Because of the lore I've been fed, because I haven't played Fallout 3 as much as I could have. But I think of Boston.
there isn't that much lore about it in Fallout
Yeah.
3, so you probably heard everything I did.
Well, I think of Boston as the Big Empty in a lot of ways. I think of the
it
two
does
very
sound similar to that, and I think if an interesting thing about Boston is it's like a weird little city. It's not as big as Washington D.C., so the map wouldn't be. It's not big as New Vegas or Washington D.C., and the game sort of compressed those huge cities already. So like,
yeah, I mean, New Vegas covers 2 states.
wait, what?
New Vegas is set in California and Nevada.
Oh, yeah. Well, no, what I'm talking about is the city itself. The city of Las Vegas and the city of Washington,
yeah.
D.C.
Okay.
In the games, it takes up this really small portion of the map. And in reality, these are huge metropolises of more than 4 million people. And
Yeah.
so, well, I'm not sure.
Well, way more than that.
Mm,
London metropolitan areas.
I'm not talking about London.
No, but like they're bigger than London.
What?
A lot bigger than
Las
London.
Vegas and
No, I'm
Washington.
talking about Washington D.C.
I don't think it's that big. New York is very big, but I'll have to check. But you're checking anyway. But Boston is smaller than both of these cities, and like the road layout in Boston is very weird. Like there's no like straight roads in Boston, so it's a very weird map that they could work with if they size it correctly, like you were saying. But if the game were in, let's say, some random tiny town in Montana, they would have to make the map big because, well, they could make the map big because all you have is this random tiny town. So you have to go to other towns in the game. I feel like if the point of your game is a big city, make the big city big.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I feel that's something I never really have articulated, but I guess I am frustrated with both Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas for downsizing the size of Las Vegas and Washington D.C. They're huge cities, size-wise, and population-wise. So I don't know. They made them in
six
6 million
metropolitan area. Yeah.
as 6 million. Okay, it's pretty big. That's big. Anyway,
That's huge.
So, but a metro, yeah, but like, okay, if you take the whole metropolitan area of New York, it's 20 million.
Yeah.
But if you take just New York City, it's 8 million. So it really depends on your definitions of what the population of the city is.
New York City.
Tokyo, I know, technically has the biggest population.
23, but that's huge.
That's how big New York's metropolitan area is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is insane. That is more people than a lot of countries.
No, it's a really big city. I was there, and you feel trapped when you're there. Like the
35 for Tokyo metropolitan area.
Yeah, Tokyo's a big town because Japan's such a small country. They're so compressed. Anyway, so what was I saying? Yeah, but
you're frustrated about how the big cities have been compressed so much.
Yeah, I feel like most of the map should be those cities, or not most, but they should be bigger. Like, I don't know. Now I can't really complain because I liked what they did with the parts outside of the city.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, there could have been a lot of cool stuff in the city, and they didn't do it. Now I'm happy because they had the Hoover Dam and stuff like that, so you can't really complain. And they had a lot of stuff outside of Washington, D.C., but...
Yeah, I think if you look back at video games in the past, even fake cities, like huge cities in certain, like I'm RPG culture as I've always been. You look at like Earthbound, Foresight, that's the biggest city in the game, like, and they've got like a population of like 40, right?
Yeah.
Because you can't do it. And if you make huge cities, you can't make every person in that city interesting.
Well, and I feel like in Fallout they have an opportunity that they don't have to worry about people because the city could be big and it could be abandoned partially because, it's an apocalypse.
But like if you look at New Vegas, to me that city felt huge, even though I know it's not as big as in real life.
I think they did things to make it artificially feel huge, but you couldn't actually go to most of those places.
No, it wasn't about where you couldn't go. It was about where you could go. The fact that how much you could do in the four casinos.
The 4 casinos,
and then the
one gift shop, the embassy, place. And what else is there? There's the
Michelangelo's sign shop.
The sign shop. There's the tram.
And then
there's people you can talk to along the road.
Yeah, but just the 4 casinos, how much time you can spend in them. Like New Vegas is a 2 to 3 hour area, which in a game that for most people,
I'd say it's more than that if you do the quests for each of those casinos. It's like 10 hours at least.
Oof, well, I was being moderate, but if you want to say 10, then in a normal playthrough that's probably going to take 50 hours. Like,
oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Then maybe not that long, but
yeah, but like it felt a long time. A decent, like, at least I would genuinely say in most playthroughs you're probably in Vegas for 25% of it, which to me felt like a long time. Mm-hmm. And I know like you're much more in tune with the real life location than I am, but just
I haven't been there, but my sister has, and I've seen like videos based in it, so yeah, I guess I'm in tune.
But yeah, just to me, it felt like a big deal. It felt like the most important place in the game, which this is what I got out of that.
I mean, I always felt like they more focused. I guess I think it depends on who you're fighting for. Like if you're fighting for House or Yes Man, then I feel that New Vegas is definitely the most important place in the game. But if you're doing an NCR playthrough, and this is the cool thing about New Vegas as a game, if you're doing an NCR playthrough, New Vegas is almost, in the perspective of the NCR, like just sort of an inconvenience to their administration. They're into Hoover Dam, they're into power, and Hoover Dam's the most important place if you're in an NCR playthrough. If you're in a Legion playthrough, they almost aren't even interested in tangible land. They just want to kill people, But
Well, no, they want Hoover Dam too.
They do, but I feel like
Kaiser sees
most of the
conquering
reason
Hoover
they
Dam as
what?
his coup de grace.
What'd you say?
Kaiser sees conquering Hoover Dam and eventually California as his coup de grace, as his
Exactly.
Rome.
It's for his balls, not for his empire.
Wait,
So
Kaiser's empire is based on his balls.
it's true. So for a ball-based economy,
Yes.
that is like the economy of our Minecraft server, ball-based economy.
Our economy is very well backed up. Thank you very
It
much.
is. It is.
Anyway,
But it
I
took
think
balls to back it up.
I think we should move on to our fears. And while you lay out your fear, I need to go to the toilet.
Okay. Make it.
So you lay out your fear, and I'll be right back.
Okay. So, guys, while he's using the restroom, toilet, bathroom, whatever you want to call it, one of my biggest fears, one of my big fears, and this is something that I think about a lot, and this may be actually on the top 10 list. I'm not sure if the crafting thing will be for my greatest likes, or my greatest wishes, but this will probably most definitely make it on the top 10 of my greatest fears for Fallout 4, and that is multiplayer or co-op. The idea that and this fear to not come about randomly, because I don't think I would have ever thought of Fallout 4 being a co-op game if I didn't listen to anyone else. It's just not that kind of game. Fallout is not that kind of game, so it would never even occur to me that it would even be considered to become a co-op or Fallout or multiplayer game. But then I start hearing all these rumors and lots of people in the community and on YouTube videos and on forums asking and calling for Fallout 4 to become a multiplayer or co-op. They use the word co-op a lot, to make it into a co-op game. We can play with your friends. And that to me scares me a lot. And I'll tell you why. First, I think I should tell you that I have always been more of a person who is a loner when it comes to video games. When I started playing video games, I love telling people this because a lot of people are like, what? I didn't play my first multiplayer game with another person until I was, I think, 13 years old, or maybe even 14 years old. And most people nowadays, it's probably the first thing they do. Kids, they buy Call of Duty and they play with someone or whatever. I did not know multiplayer was a thing. My dad had a computer and we played computer games, and I would just love finding new games that I could experience. And all of them were single player. And sometimes they would say multiplayer, but I was like, yeah, whatever that is, that's stupid. So because of this, I became a loner, just because of my experiences with it. And because I'm that's sort of, are you here, Putty? I kind of heard you.
I'm back.
Anyway, what I was saying, I was just telling them, I told them that it is that I am scared of it becoming of them adding a co-op or multiplayer feature, and I was just telling them that I'm really fearful. I was telling them that one of the reasons this is probably one of my fears is that I was raised as a loner when it comes to video games. Which
is really surprising to me considering you're raised on shooters, but yeah.
I know.
Shooters over the last 10 years have developed into a multiplayer culture. I'm surprised you didn't follow.
Exactly. It developed into a multiplayer culture, but I didn't discover...
ruined them. Yeah.
I didn't discover multiplayer until I was 14. I knew it existed, but I didn't really think it was anything important until I was 14, and I'm like, oh, a lot of people are playing.
When did I first play a multiplayer game? Well, like properly get into one. Let me look up the date of a certain game's release.
Anyway, for me, I was raised. I had a very early experience with video games that was completely loner. I would play video games and I didn't care. I would play the same main campaign of a shooter, like the original Call of Duty, 10 times. I loved single player campaigns and I loved single player games. And yeah, it's crazy that I was raised on shooters, and yet I'd never discovered multiplayer, which is probably why I don't play a lot of shooters now. Because shooters now, there's so much of a focus on the multiplayer that it's like, ew. I just want to play a campaign, and the campaigns suffer because of the multiplayer and how much focus there is put into it. And that is what I'm going to get to with why am I scared of co-op?
I'm also scared of co-op.
Yeah.
Just to put it in here, that's my fear as well.
So viewer, you might be asking yourself, dear God, Marshall, why do you want to deprive other people of co-op? You can just play single player, and that's a very valid reason.
Takes away.
I'm talking. But no, but that's something people ask me when I tell them. They're like, well, it's just an extra feature. You don't have to play co-op. You can
Yeah,
play single player. And that's a decent argument, except for the fact that if you look at games that have co-op, it takes away from the single player experience. They focus development time into it. And it sort of becomes, I think, eventually more about the co-op than it is anything else. Because unfortunately, the kind of people who play co-op are probably more loud with their opinions in the online community than the people who play single player. You know, that guy who's just playing single player games, he's not in tune with gaming news. You know, he's not
yeah.
he's not tweeting and foruming. He's just playing his video games. But so I feel like those people don't have a voice. In the words of Nixon, it's the silent majority, which I don't like what his argument was for the silent majority. But anyway, I'm scared that it's gonna, like, if you take Borderlands as an example, Borderlands is a game that could be great, but in my opinion, I don't play it that much because I feel that it's so co-op focused that the single player isn't that good. It's like, you know, it's just not that fun. And I don't think the co-op is as good as it could be because, you know, when you play a co-op game, I feel like the story in the game is sort of passed over. Have you ever noticed that when you're playing a co-op game with someone, like for example Borderlands, like there's such a rush to continue the campaign that you don't read any of the story and you don't absorb any of the characters and you just are like constantly running to the next boss. And
It depends who you're playing with, but yeah.
Okay, well maybe I just have asshole friends, but I for me, even if they did it perfectly, while I'm trying to play Fallout 4 single player, one of my friends would constantly be nagging me to play it in co-op, and then I wouldn't be able to experience the game. So my two reasons I don't want it to be multiplayer, to reiterate, is that I think it'll drag on the development of the single player experience and the story for a single player game, and I'm a loner, and I don't want my friends annoying me to play Fallout 4 with them. As sad as that sounds, I Fallout 4, even if they add co-op, I'm probably not going to play it until a few playthroughs that I've played on my own, you know? Like, I want to play the game multiple times if I even consider doing a co-op playthrough, which is what I did with Borderlands. And
Ooh.
I didn't play it multiple times. I played it once. But I didn't want to do a co-op playthrough because I started one and I was like, wait, I want to read that. And he's like, yeah, let's just keep going. Because he'd already played it. So those are my two reasons. They're kind of vague, but it's
Did you find that actually, like, there was anything worthwhile to be read in Borderlands though? Because I didn't.
I don't know. I kept getting pulled along. No,
I thought you said you went into single
well,
player.
and that's it. No, I did, and it was okay story, but I don't like missing the story even if it's bad. I still like to discover it, you know, and find out that it's bad for myself. Like,
Borderlands to me was like junk food. Like, it wasn't the co-op that ruined it. It was the fact that it was not a bad game, but it was a game that was very much like not story focused.
but
Because
exactly, it was focused on co-op, and I think that's almost an
it's
example.
exactly the same in single player than it is in co-op. It's mindless fun. It's just.
I know, but that's an example of how co-op could ruin a game.
I don't think it would have been any better in single player because I just don't think those developers are capable of writing a good story.
Whoa! Shots fired against Gearbox. I've played Gearbox games. They have they worked on Half-Life, so I wouldn't be so mean about their the original Half-Life. I mean, so I wouldn't be so mean about their
All I'm saying is
single player
writing,
experience development skills.
all I'm saying is the writing in Borderlands, whether, you know, I just don't think, like, they had enough time. Sure, they could have put more voice acting in, perhaps, if they didn't work on the co-op, but their writing was just not right.
So you have the same fear as me, but it seems to me that you have different reasons. So I'd love to hear your.
No, I agree with you.
Oh, okay.
Development time is I just don't. Borderlands is a good example in a lot of ways, but I just, when I think about it, Borderlands it was always like, this isn't a very good game in terms of a story point of view.
Mm-hmm.
And it's best enjoyed in co-op because it's just mindless. But I agree that, like, co-op takes away from development time, and development time should be spent on the single player experience. It should be spent in the writing room. Should be spent in the recording booths. Should be spent getting the most out of what is currently there rather than adding.
It should be spent coding the game and making sure that Fallout 4 isn't the most glitchy experience in the world.
Oh, you're so naive.
Oh,
You've never experienced Fallout on day one, have you?
no, but I've seen playthroughs. Well, day one. Are you kidding? It's the Game Bro
I
engine is
know,
still the most glitchy engine in the world.
but can you imagine what it was like for the first like month?
Yeah. Well, I was just playing an early access game the other day, and I was thinking this game is almost as polished as Fallout New Vegas is after years of development.
Yeah.
um, Polished as far as bugs, I mean. I don't mean as far as gameplay, but yeah, I just think that uh, yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, it just takes away from like I think there's two arguments that have to be addressed when it comes to multiplayer because they are different.
For
First,
multiplayer,
mhm.
are you the arguments for multiplayer or against it?
Well, just discussions to be had on multiplayer can be divided into two categories.
Okay, let's hear them.
And I feel like they're different and they have to be both discussed. And that is a Fallout mass multiplayer idea, MMORPG, and a Fallout co-op idea. I think those are two different ideas. I think they're both have been rumored, and I think there's different arguments for and against both. You know what I mean?
Well, the problem with a mass multiplayer idea is if they do that, there won't be a single player. You can't. I
Well,
mean,
that's not true.
yeah, but okay, at that point, the game is pretty much about the multiplayer. Like the single player experience has been put down
It,
so much. I have never played an MMO in single player and thought, "Wow, this is great." um,
I've only played two, and both of which, if you sat down and read the lore, had a lot of lore behind it. A lot of lore that you could enjoy.
I mean, maybe I need to revisit some of those games because I just recently really got back into top down games from playing Wasteland 2, which by the way, oh guys, it, if you ignored it at first like I did because you didn't play the first game, just give it a second look. It's such a great RPG, and it's very classically built, and it's polished. It's amazing. It's a great game. I highly recommend buying it, and I may be doing some sort of stream on it soon. But anyway, what were we talking about? But sorry.
MMORPGs.
Yeah, MMORPGs.
So the pluses, the positives for an MMORPG Fallout idea are that a a player-driven Fallout experience has the potential to do a lot of business. Now, whether or not there should be a main project or not is a very good discussion to have. But I definitely can get behind a well done, well polished Fallout MMO. My problem is Bethesda do not release well polished MMOs, as we saw last year.
As we saw just a few days ago when the project just became free to play.
Did it? I need to play this then.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking we should do a first impressions video together.
Yeah, definitely.
But I'm pretty sure they just made it free to play, so that's obviously shows
Well, I mean,
that if they weren't
I
able to
can't.
get enough people to buy it.
You can't rag on them too much. Every MMO that's come out in the last 2 or 3 years has eventually gone free to play.
It's true. I think the only one that well, no, World of Warcraft is kind of half
Wait,
free to play.
is Elder Scrolls Online free to play as in you don't have to buy it but you still need to sub? Or is it free to play?
Wait,
Do you need
what
to
do
pay
you still have to
subscription?
sub? Oh, that's a good point. I assume when I hear free to play, I just
Because when Elder Scrolls Online first came out, I'm pretty sure they did the double whammy. I'm pretty sure they made you pay
no,
for the game
they
and then
did.
sub as well. Ugh.
They did. Elder
Was there also
Scrolls.
microtransactions?
Okay, they're
'Cause
still.
that's the triple
This is
whammy.
bad because they're still selling it.
Oh, but they do that with Team Fortress. Well, they used to. You
and
can still buy the physical
and
ones.
Rift, or I forget what it was, but there was this other MMO that
Yeah.
went free to play, and I
Soros,
saw a
the old-
copy being sold at Best Buy, and I was like,
That's not like the thing. Yeah, so you can't rag on it too much. Anyway,
"Oops!" I almost, instead of entering my date of birth, entered today's date. I'm pretty sure it would have blocked me from the site. Anyway,
So yeah, I don't trust Bethesda to release a lot of games, but first the main one is is an MMO. But I tell you what, if you get back on good terms with Black Isle, what are they calling themselves these days? What are they calling themselves these days? Oh, it is just Obsidian, isn't it? Right?
yes.
Right, okay. If you get back on good terms with Obsidian, then it wasn't Obsidian who were making Fallout Online, Who was making Fallout Online?
It wasn't Obsidian. It was, I believe, Interplay was trying to make it.
Oh, Interplay.
Interplay. I've never heard of this development
No,
company. What is its relationship to the Fallout franchise?
No, it's just that I always consider the developers of Fallout to be Black Island Interplay are the same thing, right?
No.
I'm sure one of them became the other one.
No, because I remember back in the day playing Black Isle, and it was its own thing, and Interplay was definitely its own. I'm pretty sure it did two different companies. They may have shared developers, but I'm pretty sure they were two separate entities. Maybe it isn't free. Someone told me that. Okay, well,
my first thought was that Interplay was the publisher and Black Isle was the developer. That was my first thought. No, Black Isle was a part of Interplay. Yeah, Black Isle was the same thing as Interplay.
Really?
Yeah. Black Isle Studios was a studio under Interplay. But anyway, yeah, I don't trust. If they get back on good terms with Obsidian or Interplay, I don't mind them releasing a Fallout RPG in the West. Yeah, West. But I don't trust Bethesda to make it. And if they make an MMORPG in the East, I just won't give a shit. And I like Fallout, but I just won't give a shit.
Well, I feel like a Fallout MMO, if they're going to make an MMORPG, I wouldn't mind them making it similar to Fallout 2, where it's like the whole country, or a very large portion of like the world. Because I feel like when we're talking about map size and you get to an MMO, map size is a completely different discussion. Obviously.
You know what? I still think you should go for just a quality, reasonably sized map. And I know MMO has different definitions for people, but 40, 50 people is still an MMO to me.
Okay, so I guess specifically when you say it, like an online RPG is what I mean. Not necessarily MMO. I feel like an online RPG generally has very large maps, but I mean, yeah.
No, they do. You're right. I would still.
You would still argue for a small map. Yeah. Hey, I mean, I'm up for it, but here's my thing. I don't really play MMOs or online RPGs, I should say, at all. And whenever I do, I usually lose interest like after a day. And the only reason I ever got into it was because a friend begged me. So
that was a fun excursion.
Yeah.
In Zombieland.
Yeah, it was. But so if they did do it, I'm fine with you doing that, man. But make sure you do it as a side project, and it doesn't take from the main project at all. Mm-hmm. That is my like. If you want to do side projects, do whatever the hell you want, but make sure the main game is still the main game. If they wanted to do co-op, and they could do it as like a standalone expansion, like 2 years after the game's released, I'd be okay with that. But make the main game the main game. that's my only like that's, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I completely agree with an MMO being a side project, but then like there's a whole different discussion with co-op. Co-op's just a whole different discussion to have.
Wait, you were getting into the argument for co-op earlier. You were saying there were two arguments, and
yeah, but we just spent the last couple of minutes talking about an MMO Fallout idea.
Yeah,
and my point, our point about the side project thing is only about the MMO Fallout rather than.
No, what I was asking is, what's your point about the co-op though? What would you like to talk about it?
All right, okay, so it's co-op. As you said earlier, takes away from the development time of the game in other more important areas. So if I am actually 100% fine with them slapping co-op on as a side thought, absolutely no problem with that at all. The problem is if they announce co-op as a main feature and they spend time on it.
Oh yeah, if you start seeing advertisements and they're like co-op, and you're like, ah, shit. That's the oh shit moment. If you see an advertisement and it's like it does this, and then at the end they're like, and more, and co-op is in the and more category, then you're like, okay.
If they don't even announce it, it's just like a thing. You're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, but I don't think there's ever been a game that hasn't announced co-op as a feature.
I don't know. Maybe they haven't. Like, I'm just asking them not to make a big deal out of it. That's all.
Yeah. I mean, if they make it into a big deal, it's going to
be a big deal.
And it's going to tank the single player experience. most likely. I mean, I guess it's possible if they really, really tried, if there's a development team out there that really, really tried to make, really what I think they'd have to do is to have two development teams working side by side but never talking to each other. One developing the single player, the other developing the co-op, and maybe then you could play one without the other interfering.
But that would be weird because one game would probably end up being better than the other.
It would be weird. It would be weird. But in my
At that point, why don't you just make them separate games and charge $60 for both?
exactly, why don't you? That's why Bethesda, get rid of don't if you have co-op in development, just get rid of it. They're like, well, we spent $3 million on it. Hey, that's your problem. Get rid of it. Marshall said so.
Bethesda, why don't you make an Eastern game and you put co-op in it, and you hire Obsidian to make a Western game and let them do it single player, and then you charge $60 for them both? Why don't you just do that? That would make me happy.
That would not make me happy. I don't want to wait another 5 years for Obsidian. Well, it probably won't be that.
No, I want them released on the same day.
Oh.
And people would have to make a choice.
Well, that'd be
like
good.
2 different Pokemon games.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Fallout Black and Fallout White. You've got to pick one of them.
In Fallout, that takes a whole different tone as far as the title.
Yeah, exactly.
Because races. Anyway.
Because races, yeah.
Yeah. Let's just get to it. It's because of races.
It's always because of the races. Let's be perfectly honest.
I mean, you got a Welshman in the call. Racism is going to come up at some point.
I mean, I do hate Polish people.
Damn it. Anyway. So
yeah, so co-op is something that like I have no ideological aversion to it. It's just I haven't seen an example of it being done right yet.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Is there like I'm trying to think of any game with co-op that's actually like done a story really well.
I mean, yeah, I mean, like I said, I mainly play single player games, so if it's out there, I probably wouldn't have played it. And I probably wouldn't have thought it was good, but
I mean, Borderlands is probably the thing that came the closest, and I don't think that really got there.
I mean, I feel like Borderlands, like you said, it's like you just shoot shit like that. I feel like that should be the advertisement for it.
It's a first-person looter.
Yeah, exactly. And they don't mismarket. Like they do not misadvertise that game. They definitely focus on the guns and the combat and the co-op experience. And so when you play it, at least you know there was no lies.
You know what's going on.
Yeah, there were no lies going into it.
It's like a potato chip company coming out and saying, you know what, our food is shit, but
and we're gonna fill half of it with air.
You're gonna enjoy eating it though, and you're gonna feel bad about yourself afterwards, but you're gonna enjoy it when you're eating.
We're gonna shovel it into your mouth.
Yeah. So that's basically what Borderlands did with.
We're gonna have a Gearbox representative come down to your house and shove this shit in your mouth.
And hell, it suckered me in. I like Borderlands.
Yeah.
It's not a story-driven game, and so it won't be in my top 10 anytime soon.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I feel like me arguing for shooters as a genre, like you said, I feel like co-op and multiplayer has in many ways the focus on it in shooters has ruined them. And I felt like when I played Wolfenstein New Order the other day, sure, there were problems with it, but I was thinking, yes, this is what shooters should be. It's an improvement on a shooter experience, and it has story throughout. Shooter is not like shooter and story are not conflicting ideas. They go together so well if you do it right.
Hello, BioShock Infinite would like a word.
I think BioShock Infinite is also a great example. I know you don't, but I love the goddamn game, so I don't give a shit about what you say. No, okay. I love the story and I love the shooting, and I think
the two don't add up, but okay.
Hey, what I was gonna say is, no, I think I said everything. Anything else you'd like to talk about the co-op or multiplayer?
I'm done with co-op and multiplayer, but if it's alright, I'd like to revisit one of the earlier topics on the world.
Sure.
Because I thought about something. So the reason why Fallout's big world has been a problem for me is because you're traveling so slowly.
Mm-hmm.
So what I thought about when I went to the toilet was that Red Dead Redemption, right, has a very empty world in a similar way to Fallout. However, you're traveling around it so quickly, and the world is so gorgeous Still better looking than most games out today. And it was on last generation's console, right?
Mm-hmm.
Red Dead Redemption was gorgeous, and you were traveling around so quickly, and it was such a satisfying travel system that it just worked. And so if you gave, I don't know how you'd work it into a Fallout game, because that's another dangerous topic, transport. But if you could work some sort of faster transport into a Fallout game, I think horses would be very atmospheric at some point in a Fallout game.
Horses would definitely work, especially if they gave it like a Western theme, like, the old
Oh,
rider.
you want to return to the West? I agree completely. I agree completely.
No, I feel if you're
Why don't
doing
we just set it in California?
Oh, a horse would
that?
not go along with California. No, what I'm saying is, if you're going with a horse, I think you should give him spurs and you should wear a cowboy hat, regardless of where you are. You could be in Arkansas as long as if you have a horse, you should wear a cowboy hat. No,
Did you see the first trailer for Phantom Pain?
no, I haven't.
Well, it was ages ago now. But I remember there was a horse to start that trailer off, and it was so atmospheric, and I was like, this is not Metal Gear Solid, but this is freaking awesome, and it felt post-apocalyptic. I was like, when I thought about horses for Fallout, I was like, yeah, man, that shows it could probably work.
I mean, they could have a thing where you like throughout the game you continue to upgrade your ride. You know what I mean? Like you could, and this would be another side feature, obviously. But you could start out like with your feet, and eventually you could get a horse. Maybe at one point you get like a.
Is it the traditional RPG upgrade system? You start off on foot, then you're faster on foot, then you get to the sea, and then by the end of the game, you're in the sky.
What I was gonna say was, then you get maybe like an old broken car, and by the end of it, you're riding in a vertibird.
So it is the traditional RPG upgrade.
Yeah, but yeah, that might be a little bit interesting to see that. Would you like to hear my last topic that I thought of for us to talk about?
Sure, we got about like 8 minutes.
So, my last thing is, what would be off the top of your head? What would be a crossover I'm not going to ask your favorite one because you'd have to think about that, but what would be a crossover you would really like to see from one of the other Fallout games into Fallout 4?
That's obvious for me. Yes, man.
Yes, man, really?
Yeah.
Okay, let's hear it. I think I kind of know what you're talking about, but I'd love you.
Oh, you want to hear like a detailed explanation of it?
No, just elaborate a little bit.
I just think Yes Man has so many loose ends to be tied up with what happens if the Yes Man ending is canon. To be tied up in the way he's probably eventually going to take over Vegas and probably expand beyond there. If Yes Man finds his way to the Institute, that would be freaking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's probably obviously like. I'd like to see the Brotherhood just die, never come back. But I'm just joking.
I mean, considering where they left off on Fallout 3, I don't think that's going to happen in the next game.
What, you mean the Citadel blowing up? I mean, that's how they ended
well,
up.
I mean, yeah, if that's canon. I highly doubt that's canon.
No, if it's not Yes Man, it'll be Enclave. Because if the Enclave aren't there, it's not a Fallout game.
You say it ended with the Citadel broken up, but that conflicts because you have stated multiple times that you think the Broken Steel DLC should not be canon.
Do I?
Yeah, you said you hate the way the game ends with Broken Steel. You don't.
Oh shit! Yeah, no. Now I know you're.
You like your character dying, not waking up 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
So if he can't wake up 2 weeks later, the Citadel can't blow up. Silly.
Oh.
Sorry.
I didn't mean blowing it up in the game. I meant just literally planting explosives everywhere.
Anyway, obviously we have different opinions about the Brotherhood of Steel. I think it's a very interesting faction, and you can have good gameplay.
I do too, but I like them being smaller.
Yeah, I think it. Yeah, I don't know. But I really, my favorite. I think a crossover I'd really like to see off the top of my head. It is similar to yours, but I think I talked about it in another video. Mr. House. I'd really like to see Mr. House because apparently he studied at the Institute of Technology, which is the only feasible crossover between New Vegas and Boston that I can see, unless you can think of any others. But he studied at MIT, and I think if there were any cool like logs with him around, obviously I'm not expecting to find him there, but if there were cool logs with him around or pictures or just little things here and there, I think that would really make the game a little more like a little homage to Mr. House. Yeah. Because I mean, I don't know if they do this in Britain. I'm assuming they do, but universities here, famous people who have gone to that university, the university capitalizes on that. Like at Purdue, they have an Amelia Earhart Hall because Purdue's a university in Indiana, and Amelia Earhart either studied there or did something there. So they have a hall named after her. Universities capitalize on famous people that have studied there, and so I feel like what would MIT capitalize in a futuristic post-apocalyptic world? Robert House, the richest, most technological minded person in the entire United States, arguably. There's obviously a lot of cool people, and we don't know all of their names, but
Ulysses.
But he wasn't alive at the time.
How do you know that?
Because you can see his face. Like, unless he has the best moisturizer in the world.
I mean, he is looking fat.
Them wrinkles don't lie. My man is 40 at the oldest.
Look, Ulysses was the only character in New Vegas that they uniquely designed a face outside of the Game Bro engine for. I mean, come on.
Really?
That's going the distance. Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
They had some special shit on Ulysses' face, man.
Wow. I mean, he does look crazy. Like, he looks weird.
He looks really good, yeah.
Like, he looks human, but also not human. And you're constantly thinking to yourself, like, who is this guy? Anyway, when you're seeing him, I mean. So, what would, I mean, I'd really like to, that's just a little thing, but I'd really like to see Robert House, and it would make me feel like good to see those crossovers. And I think even if Obsidian and Bethesda can't get along, like, obviously you don't think they should, you like Obsidian more, but even if you don't like Bethesda's games, I still think there should be crossovers between the Obsidian and Bethesda games. I think it ties the series together as a whole, and it makes the canons, reinforces the canons.
If Fallout 3 can reference 1 and 2, and when that was being developed, the bitterness between those two studios was ridiculously higher than it is today.
That's true.
I'm sure Fallout 4 can reference New Vegas. But my only question with Obsidian, and I've been top of the hill, like, oh, Obsidian are the best, Obsidian are the best. However, there have been rumors for a very long time that Bethesda worked on the DLCs. So if it does come out that Bethesda were the only, Obsidian did not touch Old World Blues, then I'll change my mind. But
what if you found out your whole life was a lie? What if Obsidian didn't do anything?
There are some game companies that just make one great game and the rest of it is crap. If Bethesda's great game is Old World Blues, then that's great. But I still don't trust them because literally there is not a game in Bethesda's library except for Oblivion that I actually think is that great.
You don't like Morrowind?
Oh crap! Yeah. Morrowind.
It's the game right before Oblivion.
I always forget about Morrowind because Skyrim just made me hate that series.
I can never forget about Morrowind. It has the best song in the world. Anyway,
is amazing.
But
I can't decide whether Morrowind or Oblivion is better.
Oblivion's has that sort of weird tune. It has, I mean, obviously it's all the same foundation in the tune, but Oblivion's twist on that tune always reminds me of Pirates of the Caribbean. Always.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but
I do like Skyrim's.
Skyrim has a great song. I mean, they did their music. Okay, we said this, if there's one thing you can say about Bethesda is they have a great music department. I think so. They're good at picking out the music for the game, and if they didn't pick it out, they're pretty damn good at developing it. And as far as if we're talking about the Skyrim, the Elder Scrolls theme songs, each one has this sort of nostalgic core that you can relate to, and you can think back upon all your other experiences, but it's also perfect to individualize that game. And Skyrim's, you got these you've got like a whole male choir sort of singing these cool tunes, and that makes you think of like the frozen north, And with Oblivion's, it's very like the tune is very empirical, and it's sort of upbeat and it's grand, and you got this incredible like huge orchestra, and it's like and it makes you think of like an imperial city if there ever was one, And Morrowind's is very sort of, obviously this was when music wasn't as, they couldn't spend as much money developing it, but
back in my day.
But it's more simple. It's a little more do 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 do, and I think it reflects the simplicity of the area that Morrowind is in. It's sort of it's a simple place. Not simple, but you know what I mean? It's sort of like backwater almost. Anyway, that's but yeah, the music is great.
Yeah, I mean Bethesda. As much as I trash them, their music is great. It's always good.
Kick
It's always
ass.
good.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I criticize is I do like their backing tracks. I think they're a lot, the fighting tracks, the ambient tracks. I think they're better than a lot of games. But again, RPG culture. I've grown up on kick-ass backing tracks, and they just don't compare to my Zeldas and my Final
my
Fantasies.
Zeldas and my
I'm sorry, you just when Wind Waker just has the greatest soundtrack of all time, followed closely behind by Phoenix Wright. And when you've got those two things in your history, I'm like, you know, that the Hoover Dam theme song is just a
see
tad
for
better.
me see for me I guess it's because maybe because of my musical background, or maybe it's, I don't know, maybe it's because I didn't play as many of those old school RPGs, but I am not a huge fan of the sort of like techno sounds that those RPGs sort of have in their music. I'm more of a fan of orchestral scores
Yeah,
and sort of choruses, and that's why I'm a huge fan of the Elder Scrolls theme songs. I love bringing orchestral music into a game, and I also like more beautiful vocal music. And so that's why for me Fallout has really good music, because it's a lot of vocal music. It's got
yeah.
decent orchestral music. It's definitely not old school RPG music like yours is, and that would be why you don't like it as much, because it's just not that style. It's at least it's not trying to be that. It's its own.
Well, I'm not talking about the stuff on the radio, mind. The stuff on the radio is great. I'm just talking about the ambient
I'm
tracks.
talking about that too. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
trying to be that. It's more. I mean, if you listen to it, there are instruments that are playing it
Well, the other instruments playing in the games I'm talking about.
in
Sounds
Phoenix,
familiar.
right?
In Phoenix Wright there aren't, but I mean I like the instrument versions better anyway.
Oh,
In
okay.
that, in that one.
Yeah.
But in Zelda, I don't know. I can't remember. Yeah, in the more recent ones, there have been instrumentals, and I mean, I like instruments more than the electronic stuff as well. It's just those tunes, and the fact that they I've grown up on games that accompany emotional moments with emotional songs, and that's been a huge part of why I like video games and storytelling. And to not have it in emotional moments in New Vegas, I think it was or any Fallout game or Elder Scrolls game was just a bit of a missed opportunity. Music's a really important backing thing to any story you're trying to tell.
Here's one thing I thought about. And I guess we could, we'll have to end here soon.
Yeah.
Technically we should be ending now, but I think one of the things, not necessarily why I disagree with your opinions. I understand why you don't like Bethesda, and I agree with like a lot of your points. But I think also it's a very pessimistic and dark place to be where you are, because you know you're thinking about the future of the game that you love. That's basically saying there is no future, because because Bethesda is going to be developing most of the titles, like
Hmm.
so
If not all.
so saying that you don't trust them at all, even if you, I mean, obviously you believe it to be true, and that's not your fault, like, but I still think
It's not my fault.
I still
I
think
mean, I wanted Skyrim to be good.
that's a really sad place to be in. No offense, like, because you're thinking like there's no hope left in this series, unless Obsidian develops another title, and I think that may be why I have some sort of blind favoritism to some of Obsidian of Oblivion. God damn it.
Obsidian. No,
Bethesda's
Bethesda.
titles is because I try to be optimistic about the future of my favorite video game of all time.
It's right here, right now, between New Vegas and 3, or maybe just after New Vegas, when I figured out that. Oh, there you go. From Skyrim to 4. Sorry, from Skyrim to 4 is the worst place. Once 4 comes out, and I don't like it. If I don't like it, I'll be in a much better place, because then I can just move on. But right now, where I am, just hoping 4 is as good as I want it to be, that's the worst place. If 4 comes out and it's crap, that's fine. I just move on. Like, okay, 1, 2, and my Fallout 3, which is
I've got a
Fallout New
question for
Vegas,
you. So if
is done.
4 comes out and it is everything you want it to be, or at least that it's a very good Fallout game in your opinion,
Hmm.
where does that leave you standing with Bethesda?
Yeah, I will try Elder Scrolls 7. Although
Six?
I've nah, it's 7. 6 is online. They've said it. They've come out and said it.
Really?
Yeah.
What? Another
So
online game? What
no,
the hell?
no, no. Skyrim is Elder Scrolls 5. the Elder Scrolls Online that came out last year is Elder Scrolls 6 to
They've
them.
said that.
They've said that.
That's stupid.
I will give the
That's like
next Elder
saying
Scrolls game.
that's like saying Battlespire is Elder Scrolls 3. Anyway,
I will give the next Elder Scrolls game a chance, although Skyrim almost killed it for me. But if the next Fallout game comes out, it's good. I will be fine. I will be anticipating Fallout 5 or Fallout New Reno, or whatever the hell they're gonna call
New
it.
Reno.
No, I was gonna say New Reno, but I was like, oh, they've already been there.
Well, it's pronounced New Reno. That's why I thought it was funny.
Oh, okay. Anyway, yeah, I'll give him a chance again. It's fine. I will be a lot more optimistic than I think honestly, like I'm not even that invested in whether it's going to be good or not for now. Like at the end of the day, I've got my trilogy. I've got Fallout 1, I've got Fallout 2, and I've got my Fallout 3. And that's all I needed from
What's
Fallout.
your Fallout 3?
New Vegas
Oh, okay.
is my Fallout 3. And yeah, that's all I really needed from Fallout. I like a modern Fallout game, but to be honest, like the trilogy's done. I like Final Fantasy doesn't have any games past 7. Fallout might not have any games past New Vegas. Right, that just
Parsed.
might be my parsed. I know I said parsed. You know, just like actually, I was about to say Phoenix Wright. Phoenix Wright has new games coming out and they're great. But
Really?
yeah, well, yeah, Dual Destinies came out last year, and that
No,
was
I
my
thought you
favorite.
meant that. Are you? I thought you meant that they have games that are coming out soon. Like
They
they.
do.
Oh,
They
okay.
have a
So they're continuing.
prequel coming out,
Cool.
yeah, next year.
Hey, if
They have a
people buy
prequel, a
it.
really old prequel. It's like in feudal Japan or something.
Whoa!
Yeah, it's going real far back.
The foundation of the law system, and every
Yeah,
punishment is the death penalty.
well, the New Vegas, the Phoenix Wright system is you're guilty until proven innocent, and you have 3 days to prove your innocence. I want to see where that comes from.
Yeah. It'll be interesting. It'll be like he'll be talking to the emperor, and he'll be like, "Yo, emperor, we need to come up with some laws. People are
This is like Phoenix
crazy
Wright,
out there." And he'll be like, "You know what? How about I don't really trust people, so how about anyone is guilty until they're proven innocent?"
And they have 3 days to do it because we can't be asked.
And they're like, "But emperor, what if someone thinks you're guilty?" And I'm like, "Okay, so I guess I'll have to call myself a god from now on, because otherwise people will think
And
I'm
that's the judge, and he's the judge.
because people will think I'm fallible if I'm not a god." And that is where the law system and also the tradition of Japanese emperor gods came from. Create an infallible judge in a very fallible law system.
I'd love it if the Emperor in the Phoenix Wright prequel was the judge.
Mm-hmm.
That would be cool. Yeah, so like the judge from the current games,
Yeah,
or the judge's brother. Yeah,
It'd be weird. He'd have to look a little bit different, but if he was like the ancient ancestor, it'd be funny.
well, Phoenix is gonna look a little different, because it's not gonna be Phoenix. Yeah, but like I'm not that sad about Fallout. Like I don't like it right now. It can only go up because I consider Fallout to be pretty much dead at this point. So it can only go up, you know what I mean? It's like where I was in 2008 or 2007 or whatever it was, when I was like, all right, well, they're never gonna make another Fallout game. The company's just shut down. It's like, okay, well, oh well, that's the end of a great series. And then Bethesda picks it up and they're like, okay, cool, here's another one. And I'm like, okay, it's not a bad game. That's what I thought at the time. Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like I think it can only go up because I think it's over.
I mean, I really hope Obsidian does the same thing they did with after Fallout 3. It's like they like attack you like right after, like 2 years after the game is released. Another one comes out and you're like, whoa, you know.
See, that's the thing. Like, if New Vegas hadn't have come out, I probably wouldn't be a Fallout fan. Well, I would, but I wouldn't be looking forward to Fallout 4. So if they do that again, you're damn right I'll be still paying attention to Fallout.
Because then,
So,
well,
yeah,
if they do it again, then you're expecting it every year or every time they do it. Sorry, not every year.
Yeah, no. Well, I'm like, okay, well, if they did it this time, maybe they'll give them their own game next time.
Oh God.
You know what I mean? Yeah, because they'll keep hooking me back in. I'm like, oh well, Fallout 4 was terrible.
They'll never give it
New Cardiff.
They'll never give it over. They'll never hand it completely over to. I don't think they will ever completely hand it over to Obsidian, simply because Bethesda, to legitimize themselves as a software developer and not just a publisher, has to keep a couple games in their register. You know.
Well, yeah, and also I just think Bethesda. I mean, at the end of the name Bethesda sells a game easier than the name Obsidian.
It's also, well, the name Bethesda is going to be on the title, and no matter what,
Yeah,
that
but
doesn't matter.
Fallout 3 sold better than New Vegas because they developed it. You know.
Yeah, yeah.
What are they've published a couple of games this year, and I'm sure they haven't sold as well as their main franchises, or anywhere near.
Oh, yeah, no. What's it called? The Evil game? Man,
Evil
that didn't
Within.
do shit.
Yeah.
And then now they're talking about a game called Battle Spire or something, or Battle Cry. That's it. Um,
Just make Fallout 4.
well, no, I mean it's not taking away from their development at all. They're just outsourcing lots of games. I mean,
Yeah.
they're becoming a big publisher. They are.
They are a big
They
publisher.
are. They are. But I think a lot of us are in denial because I didn't realize like
Dishonored. They published Dishonored in 2012.
they did. Like, 5 years ago, they weren't really a big publisher. They were just sort of like, hey, we're Bethesda.
5 years ago was 2010.
Oh,
Fallout 3 would have come out 2 years prior. New Vegas was coming out, and yeah, Oblivion had already been a huge thing.
okay, fine. Like 6, 7, 8 years. Fine, 8 years ago. Like
10 years ago.
no, even after Oblivion, they were a popular
Oblivion
developer.
was a huge deal.
No, they were
as a
huge.
publisher.
They were popular. Yeah, what the hell are you listening? Okay. They were a popular developer after Oblivion and after Fallout, but I feel like just recently they're now becoming a huge publisher, and they're cranking out games almost as fast as Telltale. Ba-dum-bum.
Wait.
For a second there, I had to come up with the name of Telltale. I was like, wait, what's it called? But
Do you want to know who originally published Oblivion? Do you know this one?
no, who?
2K.
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 2K. No, I heard about that. And then
That's insane to me.
I think exactly that is proof right there. The Bethesda was not even in existence before Oblivion, and even after that, they weren't considered a developer. They were just, they weren't considered a publisher. They were just still a really nice developer. And then recently, I feel like they're just shitting out games left and right that a lot of people. I mean, I'm not paying attention to, but a lot of people are. I mean,
Okay. I got some evidence to dispute that claim.
oh, what claim?
That they weren't a huge publisher.
Go ahead. I mean, I didn't really have any evidence. It was
They published
just me
Call of
spinning some
Cthulhu,
bullshit.
Dark Corners of the Earth.
They did. They really did. I know
they
that because I got it in the
Pirates
Bethesda
of the
pack
Caribbean. They published Pirates of the Caribbean,
in
The
2000
Legend of Jack Sparrow.
for the Xbox One. For the just original Xbox.
Yeah, that was 2005.
2005. Okay.
But yeah, they published Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, you just named two games that sold almost no copies.
Star Trek Encounters followed quickly after by Star Trek Tactical
I
Assault.
don't think those sold. I've never even heard of
And then
those games.
followed a month later by Star Trek Legacy.
Okay,
And then a year
that is
after
hardly
that,
a video game if they
Star
made it a
Trek
month later.
Conquest.
That is a board game. That's not a video game if they made it a month later.
They published Fallout 3.
Okay, but now we're getting into the era I was speaking of.
Yeah, but they published them.
They
No, you. Yeah.
publishing your own game is not the same as being EA or you know what I mean.
I don't know, mind.
I can
How much does EA actually outsource?
I
They
consider
develop a
I
lot of their own
consider
games.
EA and Ubisoft to be
Ubisoft.
two big publishers, like the two major publishers. I
You
mean,
just listed the two most evil companies in the industry.
well, that
Nobody wants to be them.
big companies are evil. I don't know what to tell
Wait,
you.
you just missed out Activision.
Activision, in my opinion, doesn't really develop. They don't really publish other people's games that often, do they? I don't know.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. The Call of Duty franchise isn't developed by Activision. Neither was the Rock Band series.
None of Call of Duty was developed by Activision?
Nope. It was Infinity Ward, Treyarch, and Sledgehammer.
Good God, Activision is such a shitty company. Why does it even exist? Anyway,
Yeah. I mean, and Raven Software, I forgot about them.
see,
and
for me, if a company does not,
Activision.
that is why, if a company does not develop any games themselves, it's almost like they're a middleman paper supplier. Like, they have no reason to exist.
Well, they're advertising. That's the biggest thing. Their advertising budget. But Activision, I think they are the biggest publisher. Just publisher, because Rockstar would be the only game company that can equal them. and Rockstar develops all of their own games, right?
Rockstar develops, yeah. Rockstar is a great example of a development company because they've sort of
They have so many development companies though. They have Leeds, Lincoln, London, New England,
exactly, but
North,
it's
San
all
Diego,
in.
Toronto, Japan, Vancouver, and
I'll
Vienna.
get to it. They wait, Vienna. Anyway,
You didn't say anything about Leeds.
what I was gonna say is, I didn't hear that. You said too many cities. Anyway, but that's why I'm saying it's a company that develops. Like even though they're split up, they found a way to make it work so they can develop really good games in a decent schedule.
Can I ask a question though? Like, even though they have the same name, how different really is the relationship between Rockstar New England and their parent company as compared to um, Infinity Ward and Activision? Really?
What has Rockstar New England developed?
Okay, I'll use a more prominent one. Rockstar San Diego.
Okay, there you go. What's the difference from them?
Yeah, what's the difference between the relationship between Rockstar San Diego and Rockstar and Infinity Ward and Activision? I mean, that like, isn't it the same?
Okay, here's the difference.
Yeah.
Rockstar San Diego is physically and legally the son or daughter company of Rockstar. You know, it's
Yeah.
in their their monarch their monopoly. You know, whatever.
Yep, they are separate companies, but yes, you're right. They're very, very closely linked.
It's like in Europa when you have a colonial country, colonial nation.
Right.
Anyway,
And Infinity Ward would be like a vassal.
but exactly, in my opinion, the difference is Rockstar San Diego is like linked to that company, and Infinity
But
Ward.
Rockstar San Diego, the people there could go off and do whatever they wanted.
Yeah, but Infinity Ward is basically Activision's bitch. You know, I mean, they'll spank them all
I,
day.
I feel like the relationship, at least right now, because Infinity Ward have not developed
Well, I'll tell you
a
this:
game on their
Rockstar
own.
San Diego makes better games, so
Yes.
something's different there.
The point I'm trying to make is that the relationship between Bethesda Softworks and Bethesda Game Studios is pretty much the same as the relationship between Activision and Infinity Ward. Therefore,
Well, obviously, there's
Bethesda
a
Softworks, the publisher, is separate from the game developers.
okay. I see what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if we go back to Rockstar, in my opinion, like the different branches, they definitely have a sort of succinctness about them because all Rockstar games have a similar feel.
It's the engine.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's like saying all Unreal games have the similar feel.
Yeah, but no other.
They,
Okay, maybe I don't have good opinions. I don't know.
no, I'm just.
No, but
I'm just arguing.
but no one else uses the Rockstar engine or whatever it's
No,
called.
because I mean, they don't sell it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Huh? Huh? Huh?
Yeah. If
Not only is it the engine though, but the writing is similar and the story progression.
no.
I think
Because Rockstar San Diego have a much better writing team than Rockstar North.
In my opinion, like Red Dead Redemption and L.A. Noire, for example, have very similar story progression.
I have to disagree.
Okay.
I think
And character progression, in my opinion.
Story progress. I couldn't say about the character progression, but I just say Red Dead Redemption's story made a lot more sense. It had a clear beginning, a middle, and end, whereas L.A. Noire was kind of all over the place.
See, it did have a beginning. I don't know. In my opinion, the way Red Dead Redemption was, for me, like, I didn't see Mexico coming. I didn't see certain parts of that game the first time I played it coming, and for me,
Yeah.
that is the similar experience that I had when I played L.A. Noire. Like, I didn't see certain parts of that game coming at all, and I'm thinking, like, when is this game ending? I feel like, what? Like,
Yeah, I know. What
like you
mean,
get
but
lost in it. Like, you lose yourself in the story progression, and then to me, that's why they're similar.
I know what you mean, but with Red Dead Redemption, I was like, well, I understand why I'm going to Mexico. Whereas in L.A. Noire, I was like, okay, well, this is the next case. It seems to have nothing to do with the previous case.
Actually, the cases do link. Well, I'm not going to get into it. I haven't played L.A. Noire in a really long time, so I can't really make an argument about the story. I don't really remember most of it. But I remember that I just was thinking like, this is kind of random. But I do think the case is linked up. Like other
They well, they did, but I just didn't think like the premise of going into the case was like, okay, well now it's something new. Even though yeah, eventually they all link together. When you first started the next case, you were like, okay, well now I'm onto something different. Whereas
Well,
in Red
to be
Dead, it was
fair,
a
that's what being a
coherent story.
cop is. I mean,
Yeah, but I'm just trying to point out
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
differences in the
yeah.
writing team.
So I think it's
Uh,
time we end this podcast because
yeah,
it's been a little
most
bit
likely.
deep into our time.
Okay, well, have you got anything to close on the Rockstar?
I will say that yeah, no, I know what you're saying. Like at the end of the day, a developing company is just a group of guys who are developing a game, and a publisher is more like a conglomerate of businessmen.
Company, yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
and
and that's why I think the Bethesda Softworks
and
as a
developers have
publisher.
more humanity to them if you think about it. Like they're almost more like people than a publisher is. You know, a publisher is like the
I don't know
man.
a single person who's working for a publisher, but I can name a couple of guys working for
Exactly.
developers.
Developers have more humanity, and
Yeah,
they're the people you go to if you want to report a bug or you know whatever.
or shout about something.
Shout about something. You don't shout to the developer because they're just like, all we did was give them money. The developer is basically an investor in many ways, you know.
The developer?
Ex-
Do you mean the publisher?
Sorry, the publisher. Sorry, it's been a long podcast. The publisher is like an investor in a lot of ways, you know. The way a bank invests in a business idea. So
Yeah, very good comparison.
so that's all from me.
All right then. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed. This has been the first of a revamped, you could say,
Look in the
podcast
description
series.
and you can click a link to a channel. It'll take you to my channel. Anyway.
All right, guys. How am I going to end this off? Oh yeah, deal with it.